Welcome to the Endurance Studio podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Turner. I'm an avid ultra-endurance cyclist, bikepacker, and runner, and I'm on a journey to learn and share everything I can about how people can push beyond their limits. This podcast will explore all aspects of endurance through conversations with people I find unique and interesting. There's always an amazing story of accomplishment and failure, and always something to learn. I run this podcast from an off-grid mobile studio I've created so I can travel to the guests and have authentic, in-person conversations because I believe in the importance and power of face-to-face conversations. Thank you for watching and listening. This episode is brought to you by Squirrel's Nut Butter. Who doesn't need a little extra lube in their life? They make adventure lube. It's the best in the business. I use the saddle butter for riding and the anti-chafe for ultra running. It's all natural ingredients, sustainable packaging, and it's locally manufactured here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And go check out episode number 4 with Chris Thornley. He's the owner and operator of Squirrel's Nut Butter. He's an amazing human, and he's got some really great stories on that podcast. So check him out. You can use my unique promo code, Endurance15, for 15% off any of their products online at squirrelsnutbutter.com, or you can click the link in the description and it will automatically be applied to your shopping cart. So please use that code. Go buy from them. Let them know that their support of this podcast is paying off for them, and spread that lube love. squirrelsnutbutter.com. This episode is brought to you by Embark Good Energy. If y'all have been following me for a while, you'll know that I have a thing for maple syrup, and I'm stoked to announce that I am now an ambassador for Embark Good Energy. They hail from the woods of Wisconsin's driftless region, and they make amazing organic maple syrup. So I love adding this, what I call rocket fuel, into my bikepacking race mix. There's 3 flavors: salted maple energy, coffee maple energy with 72 milligrams of green tea caffeine, that's my favorite, and elderberry, which can be taken straight up or mixed with water. One 3 fluid ounce pouch has a lab verified 320 calories and 80 grams of carbs. And it's not that garbage maple syrup with high fructose corn syrup. This is 100% organic, great tasting maple syrup. You can use directly from the pack for quick energy, mix it with water for a hydration aid, or use it in camp cooking and even cocktail mixes. They're convenient resealable pouches, so you can have multiple uses while consuming it and avoid sticky messes. So use my unique promo code to get 20% off today. The code is EMBARK20, EMBARK20, for any products online at embarkmaple.com. And a quick shout out to Matt Lind at Not So Great Matt for the awesome super thanks. Thanks, Matt. Today's guest is an aerodynamic guy. We met at a local running group here in Flagstaff, and that's where I learned how fast and accomplished of a runner he is. He's raced distances from 1 mile to 60K, and his sweet spot seems to be the 50K distance. He recently completed his first triathlon. He's placed 8th overall in the Crown King Scramble, 3rd overall in the Adrenaline 50K night run, 2nd overall at the Tushars Mountain Run Marathon, 2nd overall at the Cocodona Elden Crest 36 mile, and most notably and recently placed 5th in the 2024 Imogene Pass Run. Now, there were 599 in the men's division, so this puts him in the top 1% of the finishers. So he is fast. So I'd like to welcome to the podcast Ryan Hansen.
Oh, how's the toenail doing?
Just
had the surgery, right?
Toenail story. Yeah. It was a procedure. I don't know if I would call it a surgery, but it was a procedure. You can see it. It looks kind of weird there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It looks like there should be a little baby toenail there or something. Mm-hmm. But that was a whole thing. Basically, I went in like a week after Stagecoach. Well, let me back up. So I was Stagecoach 100.
Yep.
I was running it. First time I've ever tried to run a 100-mile race. And I pretty much like smashed a rock hard. And I've kicked rocks before, but this was a different sort of kick. on my left foot, and it was, I don't know, coming down the backside of Snowball. So it was like early on in the mileage on the race.
Would that be Inner Basin or?
We came down Arizona Trail.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went. The course went up Arizona Trail to Snowball. Well, right before Snowball on Aspen Corner, it dropped down to Hart Prairie Road, and then it went back up and reconnected with the Arizona Trail. That's a little reroute they have to do because of some permitting issues.
Yeah.
And then it continues on that that fun down on the Arizona Trail on the backside of Snowball.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
It's like really fun, and there's like big aspen groves, and it really it's like one of my favorite parts of the whole Arizona Trail.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just smashed this rock, and I was like, that's like something not like, that's not just like a bruised toenail, like that's serious business.
Coming off.
Yeah. So I made it to Russell Tank, which was 70 miles in.
Okay.
And I basically pulled my shoes off, and there was some death mud and stuff too also in this race. Like it was pretty crazy conditions, and I pulled my shoe off. I was pretty much like, I wasn't like passionately into finishing this 100 miles like I was passionately into doing a lot of these bike packing races. So I think that probably worked to my detriment.
Okay.
And I even had like a sports performance psychologist on a couple podcasts ago, and I was like, what happens when I'm at mile 70 and I'm completely falling apart and I haven't made a plan for what I'm going to do here? And she gave me like all these tips, and I like didn't do shit. I like didn't do any of that shit.
You had your mantras, you had your things to go over it, and it didn't work.
No, I didn't do any of that.
Didn't try it.
I didn't even try it. I was just like,
Yeah.
And that's what happens, I think, in these fall apart moments, right?
Sure.
Is you have to be so disciplined to like do those things and to keep yourself going. And so anyway, I look at my toe, and there's like just gigantic blisters. Well, there was multiple blisters across, and then the toenail was just white, and it was blistered in the back.
Okay.
Which like the where the nail bed is, and what that means is like I hit the front of it, and it popped the back of it up out of the nail bed,
and then started to.
And then, it just started.
Friction.
It was like sitting on there.
Yeah.
And so I waited a week, and I just wanted to see how it went. Went to the podiatrist, and they were like, it's not quite. Like, they looked at it, and I was like, just pull it, because it was really starting to bother me.
Yeah.
And it was just like, every time I articulated my foot, it would just push that back of that nail up, and it just opened up these pockets in the back, that just wouldn't heal because it kept moving the nail. Because it was like having a piece of shrapnel or something, or like a big, a giant a splinter
doing damage. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get a splinter and you just like want it out, and you feel instant relief when it gets out.
Yep.
So he told me, all right, well, let's just put you on antibiotics and do iodine soaks and the salt foot bath, Epsom salt, and I did that, and I went back, like, I got all mad at him. I don't have a good relationship with doctors, and I was like, you should have just taken the toenail. Now it's like twice as bad. And I finally like swallowed my pride, and I went back, and I was like, dude, you got to take it out. You got to pull it. And the worst part was the numbing. Have you ever lost a toenail?
I have, soccer, all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
And I kind of plan in a budget of 1 or 2 bad falls or things of trail running every year.
Okay.
You're going to do something where it's like you're going to face plant. But yeah, no toes recently from running, thankfully.
Yeah.
I think I figured my shoes out a couple of years ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
And it was time for it to come off, and he shot in, like, that was the worst part, was the numbing, and he shot that into the sides. And then he was like, I'm not going to, he got his pliers. I saw him like get the pliers, and I'm like, kind of, like, yeah, well, I'm like, I want to watch, but it's like watching a car accident,
in slow motion as they come in.
Dude, I was like not interested in watching it, but I kind of wanted to see what it looked like coming off.
Sure.
And I didn't look, and he I didn't even know when it happened. I was so numbed up, and he pulled it off, and it was like instant relief. Dude.
Perfect.
And then a day later, I was like, I kind of want to make a commemorative necklace out of that. And he looked like to the doctor, like as a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't sure. Yeah. Well, so
is the one right now? I'm
yeah. No, yeah. I'm actually going to keep it as like, okay. So I have a theory on this Stagecoach run. all 3 years I've done it. First year I biked it. Second year I ran a duo with Jess, and then this last time, I went to the urgent care after each one. There was something that happened to me after every one, right? First year I crashed my bike really bad and sprained some ribs. The second year I fell next to barbed wire and grabbed the barbed wire fence and sliced open my hand.
Oh yeah,
and had to go get stitches.
Yeah.
And then the third year was this, the toenail thing. And I have this, I'm convinced that there's the curse of Missouri Bill Hill, which is there's this one part on the course called Missouri Bill Hill.
Oh, okay.
And I just picture this grumbly old Western guy, like the spirit of him, like
Spirit of Bill.
Yeah, the spirit of Missouri Bill Hill. And so I'm gonna make this necklace like Crocodile Dundee, as like a spiritual token to like protect me from Missouri Bill Hill.
Grant me safe passage through your hill.
Polish it up a little bit,
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get some of Jessica's extra toenails. She's got
go.
like 3 or 4 that she's lost.
The full ring.
Do like a full, yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so that's the story behind that. So
that's great.
So yeah, that was, whatever, a thing. My first, I'm good like with the 70-mile distance. Like I really found, like I would have been good at 50. I would have been done at 50.
That's where I'm at. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Cause like, I feel like I'm not in that super ultra category. I kind of tap out at 50K currently, but yeah, it's like whatever you enjoy, right? I love that in the sport, people, it's the same sport, whether it's, 7 miles or 250. So
yeah, well,
cool.
I mean, endurance is
it's all
defined in all different ways, I think. Right.
Yeah.
And like you're in this, like, it seems like 50K is your sweet spot.
Yeah. Yep. Sub ultra 50K. Yep.
Yeah. Because you really excel. And when I look at your race resume, at least on, I was looking on Ultra Live or Ultra Sign Up. Yeah. And looking at the past races you did, and it seems like you were doing like 27, 30Ks when you kind of got into it in 2020.
Yeah. I guess we can go into that later, but yes, Cirque Series was kind of what was the starting point for my whole like running experience.
Okay.
So they're kind of sub ultra, like around 10K distance mountain races.
Okay.
And yeah, they don't report to Ultra Sign Up, but they're super fun. Mainly up in Utah, but there's one in Alaska. I did the whole series in 2019, but signed up the week of with my coworker Mike Riley in 2018. I wasn't even like a serious runner at the time, but we just finished this thing. Like that was insane. Like we ran up and down a ski hill, the ski resort, and then that kind of was the whole jumping off point for everything else. So yeah.
Did you said you played soccer?
Yeah.
Did you run cross country or track in high school or anything? How did you get into running?
I didn't, it's interesting. Like I grew up running, in team sports and stuff. And my brother actually did high school cross country, and I was invited, but I never felt that gravitational pull to it. I think like in lacrosse, which I played as well in high school, there was this like team challenge where like we went up this like hill by the junior high. It's just a mile straight uphill. And I remember like I never excelled as like a star player or anything, but like I was the first one at the top of this hill. So that was like the first time I'd gained confidence in like climbing, or like, oh, I can actually like do something with my legs here. But really didn't get into it until after college, which is, it's interesting. I think I was more focused on music at the time, but
right. You before we got on mic, you were talking about you had a career in performance.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a career, but I sure tried.
A mini career.
I do have one EP. Okay. But it was fun, just different times. And
so what'd you play?
Piano.
Okay.
Yeah, piano and singing. So
got those long fingers.
Long fingers, baby.
Long legs and long fingers.
Yep. Over an octave with that left hand. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So that was let's see. It looks like 2020. I mean, when did you first like do your first event? What year was it?
Yeah, I'd done like 5Ks and stuff growing up, but that Cirque Series race, Snowbird 2018, was like my first trail race.
Okay.
We'll say. And then I honestly thought the people were crazy who were doing it. I was like, this is insane. Like we're running down a ski hill, like I mentioned. It's a very like high octane effort. You're redlining the entire time up the hill.
Yeah.
6 miles with like 3,500 gain. Maybe a little longer for that race, but that switch flipped in my head where I was like, that was a really unique experience. Like I've never felt that way.
Yeah.
After a soccer game, after a baseball game, whatever. And And for whatever reason, I decided to do all 6 races the next year. So the rest is history.
So so describe that feeling for me, because this is you're pinned on your heart rate.
Yeah.
Your lactic acid is probably at its threshold.
Yeah.
Right. What is this? Yeah. What is that feeling to you? I mean, everybody feels like pain differently, and they feel different things differently. Can you describe like what that feeling is and why you like it?
I don't know. I think, in the moment it always hurts. And like people always say like a hand on a stove. I don't think that's the right analogy, but like, it's almost like you're, like you're like on that cliff, like, like you can't push too much further, but you like realize like if I just stay with it another 30 seconds, another minute, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're almost like on the cliff of something, but you're still okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's really valuable in life, where it's like I can hurt for a little bit and it's going to pay off later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you got addicted to it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
kind of cool. And yeah.
Chemically, there's a lot of things happening. Right?
Yeah. Dopamine and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the on the nose psychological stuff that's happening about being able to push through these problems, where you feel accomplished. But then there's all like the background chemical stuff that's happening too, where you're like runner's high, right?
Yep.
You're like physically high for a period of time afterwards. It's funny when Jessica comes home after a run and I've just been chilling on the couch, like watching TV or whatever, and she comes home from like a 1 hour run or a 2 hour run. She's like amped. We're like on different wavelengths.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need to chill out. And she's like, you need to get more energy. And it happens, we switch off and it happens all the time.
It's funny. You just ran. You should be tired, but
but you're amped up. Yeah. So, so I think let's see, is Elden Crest, what's your longest?
Actually, it'd be Black Canyon 60K, which I kind of got, what's the word? Not bullied, peer pressured into.
Okay.
My good friend Chad was like, hey, people are doing it. Like, let's do it. And like, I'm very, I have like an engineering data job. So I'm very like procedural with how I approach life in general, I think. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll return to the marathon. I'll like work my way up. And then maybe in my mid 30s, I can do some of these like ultra races. Like, oh, let's just do it. Let's do the 60K. And I think it went okay. I definitely had some issues there too. But yeah, that was the longest I've done, which is 37 miles, I think.
So what were the issues?
I think something with my shoe at the time. I actually can't remember what. It might have been a speed goat I was racing in, but a lot of pressure on my ankle, which actually ended up going up the chain and producing some soreness and mobility issues in my knee. So I forget what that tendon's called up the side there, but that was kind of the issue. So I was kind of reduced to a walk. Like I think I was 5 miles from the finish or something. So that was kind of a crux moment. Like definitely shed a couple tears. Like cause it just like was a rough day, for this first time out. But I, learned that lesson where an ultra, like you're not so focused on every second, like a road race or one of these like Cirque Series races. Like I stopped, I undid my laces and it immediately fixed the issue. I think I was running again within 2 minutes, Yeah. And it was just that learning curve with my first ultra event. Like it's okay to take the time, to fix the issue. It'll help you.
You're right.
In the long term. So,
right. And on these shorter distances, like that means you're losing placement.
Oh,
you stop.
Yeah.
You're done. It
can be 5 places in a short race. So
that's so interesting. Yeah. There is a self-care aspect too. Like the longer the distance is, the self-care can almost
needs increase,
have an advantage. Yeah. Even more of an advantage.
I know you've talked about that with bike packing. It's like you really have to take care of yourself, and the strategy and the logistics are half the battle.
Yeah. And you have to be preventative, preventative self-care. You're constantly, making sure you're staying ahead of dehydration, staying ahead of salt, like your salt and stuff. And I think that's ultra running too. It's all the same because it's just a time thing at that point, right? You can get away with a lot. You have to just, you're compressing your suffering into this for a 50K or 30K or something like that. You're like compressing your suffering. It seems like it's the same amount of suffering. It's just compressed into this.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Channel.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'm built for those 250s because I think it's probably more suffering,
It's different.
Yeah, it's personality types. I think I like to have a hard day, a good go for a few hours maybe, and then like have a beer after and get a shower,
Yeah.
And that's just my personality, I guess. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, now
It's
this is
interesting.
the point, like to your point earlier, this is the
Yeah.
point in your life that you want to do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
nice. Like I do really enjoy the hard day, 6-hour day or
Right.
something, and then come home and shower and go eat In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. I think
And-
that's my perfect day, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's go rip the canyon for 6 hours, whatever. Go get some food and a beer and go home. You know?
Right.
That's a great day.
Perfect.
It's a
And
great day.
it's you don't get wrecked the next day.
Yeah.
Like you're not wrecked that week when you're at work. You know, and I've kind of been, I did the CTR, which was a 550-mile bike race, and it took me 6 days, and in August, and like I was kind of done like at the 4th day. You know, I finished it, but I was like, I'm good with like 3-day. So I kind of found my happy zone, right?
Yeah.
Where you can do something over a weekend and not get too wrecked and be back. And so, and everybody has their different distances. So, I mean, I have so much respect for looking at your race resume and Imogene. Is that how you say it? Imogene?
I think it is Imogene. I heard the race director say it, so I'm going to pin that as the
Okay.
official.
Okay.
I was definitely an Imogene person before, but I heard
It's
correct one.
Imogene?
I think
Okay,
it's
from
Imogene.
them. If the race director said it,
yeah, I believe so.
We'll take that.
I believe so.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this. So can you like walk me through your lead up into this, your training, there's this big Flagstaff scene apparently
Yeah.
in the race itself.
I think, Imogene, I think it has that allure. There are like a few flag races. Like there's the Stagecoach. Downtown Mile is also a huge one, which is put on by the track club I'm a part of here. But yeah, anyway, moving to Flagstaff 3 years ago, I started going to this track club called Team Run Flagstaff. And for those that don't know, we have a running store here called Run Flagstaff. So it's essentially like a community track group, like supported by the store. I think it was a separate board, but now the store controls it. But anyway, very cool track group that meets on Tuesdays. And just coming to that, my first week in Flagstaff, I wanted to get integrated into the community. I just started hearing like these like rumblings or like little echoes about this race called, Imogene. I was like, what is that? What's going on? Like we're at a track group. It's like, oh, it's this crazy race in Colorado. You run from Ouray over a mountain pass to Telluride. I was like, why is everyone so into it? Like it's in Colorado, we're in Arizona. And it's like, it's just, it's this thing. You got to go experience it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of weird, honestly, at first. I was like, that's kind of cool. I guess we don't have as big of mountains here as Colorado. So it does make some sense.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was so cool and unique that like, and yeah, to give a sense of scale, I think on average every year, it's about 20% of runners are from Flagstaff.
Whoa.
Out of like 1,200-ish, 1,300-ish. So that's, that's a solid couple hundred runners from Flag driving 6 hours to Colorado.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
For like
yeah.
a little mountain town, we have this huge representation.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, so I'd been hearing about it, and I think early September is just a hard time with so many other events. I think you really have to pick what you're going to do. I've done the Rut before in Montana, which is traditionally on Labor Day.
What is that?
I'm actually wearing that shirt right now.
Okay.
It's a mountain race in Big Sky, Montana.
Okay.
But yeah, very high vert race, high level difficulty. I think the 28K has like 8,000 vert in it. So for 17 miles, 8,000 vert, you're literally like going up the sides of mountains.
Yeah.
Really cool race. It's another story, but anyway, finally, was able to make it this year. Made it a priority. I think it was kind of one of my A races this year. I kind of put it on the calendar, and you have to sign up early as well. Like I say, it's kind of like a Taylor Swift concert where those tickets go on sale because like literally within 15 minutes, I think some years it's sold out.
Yeah.
So I think for us, it's 5 a.m. You got to really hop on. So.
Right.
Which like adds to the allure. It's like people love this race. Like something is in the water there. You got to go experience this. So
Yeah. Exclusive.
yeah.
Yeah. That definitely adds to it.
Yeah. Finally made the time, made it a priority. Anyway, just want to go into like the training aspects of it.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
what does it look like for you when the day you decide to do it,
Yeah.
to the training planning as an engineer?
Yeah. It's a great question. So yeah, I did do my first road marathon, really second technically, but first one I've ever like really trained for, in February, and then like had that later in the season. So for Imogene, I really wanted to focus on just fast turnover. I had that marathon speed, but like specific to climbing service roads, because Imogene, you climb the full course is about 5,000 feet up Imogene Pass, all service road, and then you descend. So I wouldn't say it's like a typical trail race where the paces are significantly slower. You do, you're allowed to get some turnover on like Elden Lookout Road, for example. That's a perfect training hill for it.
Okay.
So, I was kind of shooting for like, I know I'm going to have to run, around 9 to 10 minute miles on the uphill and then cruise the downhills to, be competitive. And like, I was kind of aiming for a top 10 finish maybe as my first go. So yeah, really zooming out, having that speed, I like to, focus on the demands of the race. So the specific feet per mile, and then slowly work into that with training, I've got a spreadsheet I use where I track the time at different intensities along with vert per week. So just slowly dialing up that threshold pace that's around what it's going to feel like on race day for an event that long.
Okay.
A little over, more like a marathon effort. But yeah, just slowly, gradually, and increasing time and intensity, and then like the vert per mile as well as it gets closer to the event. Some more longer runs at those grades and such.
Okay.
But,
so
yeah,
is vert? So in cycling, there's a thing called FTP, which is a functional threshold power.
Yeah.
And it's like a measurement tool
Yep.
to be able to measure your performance, basically, like
Yep.
the amount of watts you can output
Yep.
in a certain amount of time. Is this like a similar sort of like, there's a 0 point, you're being able to measure your week over week, your progress, like vert over, what was it? Vert per mile or vert over time?
Yeah, vert per mile, and then just time and intensity. So you've got your mile pace, threshold pace, 5K pace. But
right.
Yeah, I wish you could get that specific with it. I know they're trying to do that, like power meters on shoes.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of it is heart rate, which can be flawed, but also just perceived effort. I think I want to get close enough. I'm not too concerned about, I think people are like, oh, is this my threshold pace or steady state pace? I think they're pretty close. And, for all intents and purposes, like as long as you're within that range, you're going to gain some fitness. And the good thing with trail, or I guess one way to measure it is obviously like you can record your pace on a given route that doesn't change. I know my Elden Lookout Road time, I can record that, come back in a month, reassess how fitness is progressing.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, it's definitely a messy science. It's not dialed in. So that's kind of the fun of it.
Do you ever run on a treadmill?
Only if it's a really bad snow day in Flag, I'll go to Planet Fitness or something. But
okay.
Yeah. That's all the rage now, uphill treadmill. But
is it?
I think so. Yeah. At least in the swap Summer Call Play community.
Okay.
David and Megan Roche are huge on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for sure, I could see it around here on snow days. We have 3 bad ones a year or something.
Yeah. The 2-footer. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if there is a 2-footer, you can go an hour and a half down south and you can get along service road.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're very blessed.
So do you on the uphill stuff, do you prefer running, regardless of a race you're training for, do you prefer running like trail up or service road up?
I really do enjoy the service road because it's such a good workout, but it's also just fun to have that turnover. But I think it depends on the day, what the goals are. If it's a workout, definitely the service road stuff.
Yeah.
But if I'm just having fun, going out in the mountains, which is a huge part of it, definitely more technical single track stuff. Yeah.
So on Imogene, it was an out and back this year.
Yes.
Because of closure or something?
Yeah, I guess they had some
fire.
2 pretty big mudslides on the pass on the Telluride side. And one of them came, I think it was the week before or very close to the event, maybe 2 weeks. But so they were very kind of shy about the communications. They weren't sure if it was going to work out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they decided not to do it. I'm sure that was for, all sorts of reasons outside of their control with permits or whatever. I think it would have been kind of cool to run over a big mud mound as part of the race.
Yeah.
Slow down the pace a little bit on the descent. But
liability. A little bit of a liability issue there.
Yeah. But so I did not get the full experience this year. And I think we gained 2,000 less feet than the full thing because it was only 14 miles out and back versus the 17.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to next year's going back and hopefully doing it again.
Yeah. So 1,200 people in and out back.
Yeah.
It must have been a cluster.
Coming down, most people were great. Actually, that was a cool part of it was like, because normally you wouldn't have any cheering, right? Like you wouldn't see anybody because it's a point to point.
Right.
But coming down, we got so much love from the people coming up. Like people were cheering us on. Like I don't think they know you're from Flagstaff necessarily or Colorado, whatever. They're just cheering people on. But
Yeah.
that was really cool to experience that. But yeah, certain parts people were, hugging the right side or the left side. So thankfully it wasn't an issue. People were pretty good about sticking to one side.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, because like there's some weird elite, some of the elite people sometimes in races get a little weird when there's like mixed race dynamics,
Got it. Yeah.
Not that I've been a part of, but just I've seen or I've heard or whatever, I don't know. It's like they're really on a mission, you know what I mean? And there's not a lot that's going to stop them. And then there's your kind of like your weekend warriors, your like casuals, and when you intermix that, sometimes it's a problem from a course design point of view.
Yeah. I guess the, good thing is everyone's dealing with the same thing. They're probably if you're going to run into traffic, you're going to run into traffic. But, yeah.
But yeah. And I guess nobody's trying to set a record or whatever because it's not your traditional course.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like FKTs get thrown out or anything for that.
I think they've done it once before. I want to say it was in like 2014 or something or 7. So like there is some precedent, but yeah, certainly doesn't like, it doesn't get compared to other years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different race.
Yeah.
Different thing completely.
But,
so that's what, 13,000 feet or something it goes up to?
Where we went up to? Yeah. Cause I think Imogene Pass itself is 13. So we probably got to 11. So being from Flag, we're at 7, I was very comfortable running those paces.
Have you been to 13? Have you like done a hard run up at 13 before?
I wouldn't say a hard run. I've done Kings Peak in Utah.
Okay.
As a solo mission, but that gets up to 13.2, I think. But yeah, that was more of just survive the day and get back. So
yeah, because I CTR, the highest point was Coney Pass, which was 13.2, I think.
Okay.
And dude, I thought I'm good. I'm from Flagstaff. I train up here.
Yeah.
Hard. I train up here hard. We just did, around 11,000 feet at Snowball. We just did like a run around there.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm good. And then I got there and I was like, I feel like a feeble old man. I'm not good. Like, I don't know what, it could have been, a combination of other things. I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but it could have been like I ran out of food, so I was kind of low on calories, and I know.
Yeah.
But it felt completely new to me. Like this sort of fatigue. Could be age. I don't know. It could be a bunch of things. The fatigue was a whole different thing that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
And I've been like short on food and in salt deprived, where you get, I don't know if you've ever gotten like extremely salt deprived where you start to get like tingly and numb in the back of your neck. You ever gotten that?
I don't think I've been that deep. Yeah,
oh man, I've been pretty deep.
100-miler thing.
Yeah.
Plus.
That was on this bike race called the Picket Post Pulverizer on the Arizona Trail. But anyway, it would start as this like tingle that would run up my back and like go up my spine and into my neck and into the back of my head, and then my whole head would get like tingly.
Oh wow.
That's like I'm really in trouble because I haven't had enough salt. Sort of situation. But I was in a position where I only had what I brought with me, so I had to kind of finish it out. But it wasn't like that, and it was just like weakness. It was weird, Yeah. And the only thing I can attribute it to is the altitude, and like the step up from 7,200 is pretty like to go from 0 to 7,200 and go from 7,200 to 13,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it almost seems exponential. So I actually did do Pikes Peak Ascent last year, which I don't know if you're familiar with that race.
No, not really.
So it's a half marathon up to a 14er.
Dude.
So you gain 7,000 feet one way. Like, so there is a marathon, but I just did the one way.
Yeah.
Golden Trail Series. Very competitive. But like when I finished on 14,000 feet, like that was the closest I thought to being like, I might, have a problem here. I might pass out. Like, it felt like I was having an aneurysm or something. It's like your head's just like compressing.
Dude.
So yeah, like finishing a race at 14,000 feet would not recommend that, but it was a great event. and then you're just stuck up there and you're waiting for the shuttle and like, anyway, didn't vomit. Like it was an okay time, but yeah, that was a pretty gnarly experience.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So on Imogene, you came in 5th.
Yep.
5th.
Yeah.
Out of like 600 men or something, 500.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I looked it up here. 599, which that's like top 1%.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that's
it.
congrats, man. I mean,
Thank you.
that's an insane feat. And I think Chris Gomez was like just in front of you.
Yeah. So I met Chris at the finish, which I didn't realize, he was from Flag, but that was the whole thing too. Like, I've never felt like a team like that before in an endurance event.
Yeah.
It was almost like, we're here for Flag. Like, I'm here to represent Flagstaff. Like, I was fighting for that position for my team on the track and Flagstaff more than myself. I was like, I just want to hold this 5th place.
That's funny.
Because I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe someone from Flag is in first, but like, we got to like hold the line here, like, represent.
You got all nationalistic on it.
I don't know. Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, I met Chris at the finish, and I was seeing him on the straightaways coming down, but yeah, I couldn't catch him. So he's 42, and I think he was the Masters 5K or 10K champ last year.
Okay.
So he's like the fastest in the country for that age group.
Dang.
So yeah, meeting Chris and like seeing how high of a level he's performing at still, like I've got zero excuses. So I'm 31. Like, man, if I want to, I could try to do this for a long time. So it's just really inspiring to see that. And then it's cool he's from Flagstaff too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Injuries are really the only thing that could take you out. I imagine that injuries at the speed with which you're running are way more prevalent than with ultra athletes.
Yeah, definitely there's some risk of that for, track workouts or downhill, certainly.
It's just a lot more explosive.
Yeah.
And I think that tends to lead towards more injuries, explosive training or whatever. So have you had any like injuries of significance?
Thankfully, nothing too crazy. Yeah, really no running injuries, overuse, things like that. I think part of that I attribute probably just to luck, genetics, but also strength training. My brother kind of instilled that in me. Like, it's important to be strong. Like, so I try to maintain a baseline fitness with leg strength and hips and stuff.
Yeah.
Year round, I think that really helps. So
what do you do for that?
I do a lot of really basic. I've got my little home garage with a dynamic weight set, a box, and like a mat. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But your things like hip work with bands, Romanian deadlifts, split squats, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, very unilateral, balance focused. But yeah, I think just having that baseline fitness just gives you that robustness, and I think it helps for the marathon too. Like I felt that benefit, I think, at Mesa this year. Yeah. Of just having that fitness to not break helps throughout the training cycle. So
yeah. You're not going to be setting any deadlift records though.
No,
you're too tall for that.
No, I used to go to there's a gym in town called New Roots, and like they moved, like they used to be in like a warehouse essentially. Yeah. And I would go in there and I'd be the runner in the corner with my kettlebell. Yeah. And dudes are over there, hucking 300 pounds on the rack or whatever.
Yeah, like CrossFit bros.
Yeah. And there was like heavy metal playing. And I just remember looking around and be like, I don't belong here, but that's okay. It counts.
Yeah. I can't do gyms.
Okay.
I couldn't do gyms. Like, I think it's in my genetics to not be able to do gyms. My parents always had they always had home gyms and they had their own stuff, and we lived out kind of away from the city, so I guess that was part of it, right? Was we had our own equipment, and I kind of got like indoctrinated in like P90X, Tony Horton at-home gym kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was growing up, and so I just can't. I know that there's a lot of community tied to a lot of gyms, especially like the CrossFit gyms.
Yep.
Jessica went to CrossFit for a long time, many years, and had a really good tight community there, and or CrossFit cult. I don't know. It's a cult kind of. I put it in cult category. So anyway, she's free from the cult now.
Is Ultra running a cult? I don't know. We're a cool cult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a cult could be a lot of different things.
Just joking, of course. But.
Bike pack. Well, I think like single speeding is kind of gets cult-esque on biking and bike packing and endurance. There's like a whole group that are like, we'll do this till we die, and they like don't think there's any other option. I think if you're gonna have a cult, it's like there's gotta be a central leader that's like telling everybody what to do and stealing all the women. Right, that's like that's when you go down
in trouble here.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's when I think that's like when you start to get into cult mode. But anyway, no gyms really for me. So it was like kettlebells and like at home little stuff. And
do you do that still now? Or?
I did it a fair amount last year. After I completed the Arizona Trail Race, I was like, I had my mind set on Colorado Trail Race.
Yep.
And I knew that there was a lot of hiking on that. So I thought I better do some strength training, upper body specifically.
Okay.
Because there's so much like hiking your bike.
Right.
And that's kind of the interesting dynamic about bike packing is you have a 50-pound bike and you have to like push it up these mountain passes, right? So you have to get good at like, you have to have a decent amount of upper body strength. And I think I'm actually, I'm a little shorter and stumpier, and that gives me a little bit of an advantage with that particular component. Like I don't fatigue as much hiking a bike as like some other people, or I've just gotten better at it over time. Because there's like these bike races, there's like a significant amount of like not riding. Of just pushing your bike.
Right.
Like Arizona Trail, some say it's like 30 to 40% of your time.
Wow.
You spend
that's way more than I would think.
Pushing your bike.
Okay. Yeah. Grand Canyon, obviously. And
things
like that.
Well, there's that. There's the portage, but I mean, you get to a point where most of the ups are either too technical or you got a 50-pound bike. You can't. It's just almost impossible to pedal it up some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's faster and more efficient to push it.
Okay.
So I started doing strength training to kind of preventatively train for CTR. And did it help? I don't know. I don't know if it really did. I probably didn't train well enough, but I think in general, for sure, it's like if you can get it into your routine, it's going to help a holistic training plan.
Yeah, and I think for longevity too, you know, I think I realized like certainly not old by any means, but you hit your 30s and you're like, okay, like I've got to maintain some strength here or I'm probably going to, you know, see some injury or things like that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. Hoping it carries me through. Yeah. Can run for a long time. So
yeah, you will. I mean, if you can strengthen your joints and your tendons and everything, and it'll definitely pay off. And I like the more like kettlebell style workouts where you're kind of getting all the muscle groups in one area and not just targeted like, you know, gym bro style. Like we're just going to do some push-ups and squats like when I was in high school.
No, I'm the same way, free weights. And
did you have a high school weightlifting class?
I think I did. Yeah. Like were they semesters? I can't even remember in high school. Was that what it's called? Quarters?
Yeah.
It was one of those. It was kind of fun. I don't remember. I think we had a little, you know, weight log notebook and stuff, but certainly at that time I was even shrimpier than I am now. So probably wasn't pushing much.
It was so, I remember it being so just like we're full of testosterone. You know, we all the males just went through puberty and they're just all in the gym and they like realize that if they get some muscles, they get, they become more attractive to the girls. And so there's just like, it's just so thick. You walk into those high school gyms and it's just thick with like
Axe
testosterone and Axe body spray.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's totally triggering. Yeah.
I remember that. And I remember this one guy got like pecs and I was just like, dude, how is that even possible? Like he just got jacked because you can eat garbage and just get jacked when you're 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
You know, you can eat just like McDonald's and then you just get like shredded no matter what if you lift some weights.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get jacked with him and like my left pec was always bigger than my right pec. It was like Rafael Nadal or something, you know, my right arm's like Popeye arm.
That's funny.
And I was always a little self-conscious about that. But
girls didn't like the bigger pec.
I was but I accepted it and hope that other guy's doing well now.
Yeah.
With the jacked.
I actually had my favorite teacher actually in high school, Miss Ballard. She was a history teacher, and she'd walk around when she was lecturing about whatever Revolutionary War with a weight.
Oh, really?
And I think she would switch hands, but she'd usually have a Rockstar Zero Sugar in one hand and then a weight in the other. And she'd play like Red Hot Chili Peppers as like intro music. Yeah. When like, you know, people were still sitting down and like, this is the coolest lady ever.
Oh, that's amazing.
She was super cool. Yeah.
And you said she was a history teacher?
She was a history teacher.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And my favorite, one of my favorite professors in college too, he was actually just an adjunct, but was also a history professor. So something with that group, I really, you know, like align with, I guess.
So are you a history buff?
No, not too much. I mean, I enjoy it, but like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts, but so not a buff by any means, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. So those are good too when Dan Carlin's because they're like 6 hours long. there's like multiple episodes and they're each like 4 hours long or 3 hours long or whatever.
Yeah, I think like I just hear how much work goes into each one of those, but to be able to hold a storyline like that for 6 hours is pretty impressive by yourself.
Yeah, the Mongolian one was intense.
Okay, I haven't listened to that.
Yeah, it's older.
Yeah,
but
cool.
I think you got to buy it now. I don't know if it's public.
The archive.
And we're back. What were we talking about?
Gym Bros, I think.
Gym Bros. Yeah, definitely Gym Bros. I wanted to ask you about you did your first triathlon?
I did. I survived my first triathlon.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, it was just a sprint, but I started swimming just last May. I'd done it as a kid, but I think it's very different. Like swim lessons when you're 7 versus actually trying to freestyle in a pool. Mm-hmm. But my girlfriend Sarah, and actually a lot of my friends in Flag are swimmers, and like we were out at Clear Creek and Winslow, and they were just swimming in the reservoir, and I was like, that's really cool. I should give that a shot again. And it was terrible. Like it's so technique specific. It's not like running where it's like you can just kind of not know what you're doing and get good at it pretty quick. So anyway, like decided that it'd be a good goal to do a sprint triathlon, which is just a half-mile swim. I think it's a 15-mile bike or something, and then like a 5K run.
Okay.
But it's sad. It's like funny because I've run like a 60K with my legs. But a half-mile swim was like super daunting to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not like running where if you're in trouble, you can just slow down and walk. Like, I didn't think I was going to drown necessarily, but like, it's very different in the water versus running.
Yeah. Totally.
So anyway, started getting into it, and like we can talk about him later, but someone I really look up to is this guy named Marty at the NAU pool.
Okay.
He kind of took me under his wing. Like he was like, hey, I see you're struggling. I looked like a dolphin with my head popping out to breathe. Zero concept of any technique. Didn't really watch many YouTube videos, but just kind of went for it. I was like, I can I've seen the Olympics swimmers. Like I can go try this. But clearly saw I was struggling. Like I can maybe get across the 25-yard pool and back, but like the breathing was like such an issue.
Right.
And again, that's very humbling, like coming from running where like, I can, run a decently quick pace or whatever, but swimming, I was completely useless. So but yeah, Marty, this guy, he's just there to help people at NAU. So he like took me under his wing. Like he gave me all these tips to improve my technique. He was there every Sunday. Really gave me like lessons for those first few critical months, and I probably would have quit without him, honestly. So
really
huge shouts to Marty.
Yeah,
but yeah, he got me through, Marty. And then I did it. So yeah, did Mountain Man here in Flag out of Lake Mary.
So what was did you get a bike? How did do you have isn't there like a special bike for it, a triathlon bike?
There are tri bikes. I did not have that. I just borrowed my friend's road bike for it.
Yeah,
but yeah, tri is so gear specific with the bike that
it's like its own, like triathlons are such its own thing.
Yes. Yes.
And there's not a lot of crossover, it seems. I mean, maybe there is, but it seems like just the bike thing kind of throws me off because it's like,
yeah, it is a little off-putting to be honest about the sport, but I think I got a different perspective on it with Mountain Man. It was much more community focused than I thought. The tries were like, Iron Man per se, but
right.
Yeah.
So, suggestions now that you've been through one to anyone I've been toying anyone who's thinking about it. Training suggestions, balancing like the load of training on the three things.
Oh, I mean, yeah, to be honest, I really was still prioritizing the running. Like Imogene was still the goal. So this was in July, the triathlon, and Imogene was in September. Okay. So more or less it was just like not much, like an hour and a half, maybe a week of swimming, and honestly not much biking at all, like maybe an hour on my trainer.
Yeah.
So it was still a running block with like some triathlon like sprinkled in the other sports. But yeah, I think it is kind of cool. Like some people really excel at swimming and they're not so strong at running, and I think that is a cool aspect of it. So I think just hone your strengths but really work on your weaknesses. So for me it was like, I know I can bike decently, but the swimming was just like so terrifying, so I had to knock that out. But yeah, just like take it by the horns and get some lessons or something. But
okay. What about the transition stages? Was that something new, like between Like there's got to be like technique to like
Oh, for sure.
all kinds of stuff with just those transitions.
Yeah, the time. I mean, yeah, you could lose a minute or two there too, and that was something. Marty was super just dialed on at everything with me. Like we practiced in the Lake Mary. We practiced the transitions, getting out and stripping off a wetsuit because those things are tight. If you've never worn one, it's like trying to get off like a X small T-shirt on you or something.
Okay.
So it's incredibly like the newer ones, and if it fits right, it should more or less slide off. But you really have to like work to get your leg out of it.
Okay.
So we practiced that. Be obviously like having your helmet ready, like your gels, you know, in the if you have like a waist belt or something ready to wear, or like on your bike already. Just those little things, as quick as you can get out of your wetsuit and onto the bike, the better.
Yeah.
And out of there. But
do you do the thing where you have your shoes already clipped into the bike like they do in the Olympics? Or whatever the high is. I saw it in the Olympics last time.
So
and they're like clipped in, and they like slot their shoes in as they like slot their feet into their shoes.
That I could have used that honestly.
Really?
Well, I funny story. Like I was so focused on the swim, and I was like, hey, you know, if I can get the swim, it's going to be a successful day. So I completely neglected the bike and the whole build up. So like I think like 2 weeks before I experimented with the clip-ins, and just like I couldn't do it. Like I know that's normal to fall over in practice, but like I felt so uncomfortable. Like I couldn't get going. Like I fell over on the road twice, and I was like, you know what, like I don't want to get
on the clips,
clipless
yeah,
because I'm just not used to it, you know.
Right.
Like first time.
Yeah.
So I ended up just using standard pedals with my running shoes,
flats,
which did help in the bike to run transition, because I literally, you know, jumped off my bike and started running,
right,
you know, from there. So
yeah, I'm sure in that though, the clips make a significant impact
on efficiency.
Yeah, like your efficiency on having clips is going to be way more than your speed and your transition time for like people that are more comfortable with clips, right, or clipless.
Yeah, and certainly if you're doing like a full distance, it's going to make a huge difference, and I'm sure it did have some effect. But yeah, for me personally, just like safety and comfortability, first one, it made sense. So
everybody falls over in clips.
Yeah.
And if you feel so helpless and stupid,
I'll get it for the next one.
And then you're like waffling around on the ground, and you can't get your one foot out.
Yeah. See, it was a very, very humbling year.
Yeah. It's a thing. Those are a thing. I don't know if the road ones too are even more. They're even more like solid. It's a different technology than like mountain bike clip pedals.
Okay. Yeah.
There's like SPD is what they use for mountain bikes.
Yep.
And I think road cycling has a different clip system. I'm not much of a roadie.
Yeah.
So how about running on road? Versus trail. I know you've done a couple of like road marathons.
Honestly, just so I've done two. One was in 2017, and I was like mainly doing kickboxing at the time.
Okay.
And not really a runner. I just kind of did it. You know, went as well as you could hope. Like I blew up at mile 20, walked for a mile, and continued. But yeah, I kind of returned to the road very intentionally this year. Just it sounded fun. I think like the pursuit of, you know, getting a PR in a marathon just appealed to me for whatever reason. Or let's just see what I can do with all this trail fitness, you know?
Yeah.
I've been running trails for 5 years. Like, let's see if I really focus, like what could I do on the road? And it wasn't about comparing to other people. It's just like, what can I personally do that was inspiring to me? So I did get a coach for the Mesa Marathon just for that block.
Yeah.
And then, I'm doing Boston next year. So that's
awesome.
Yeah. I think it's a good balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you travel there because Sarah did it last?
I did. Yeah. I was in Boston this year. Big Celtics fan. I've been to the city many times.
Okay.
Yeah. Got some childhood ties there. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you grew up in that area?
No. We had a really good neighbor. He was actually a conductor of the Utah Symphony from the Boston area. So like he was really like a good friend next door to us. And so we had been back to Boston to see him with the Boston Pops when he moved away. Yeah. And then I went back for some conferences. And anyway, there's been this tie with me with Boston for a long time. And
nice.
Yeah. Even like playing video games and stuff.
So you have to qualify, right, for Boston Marathon?
Yeah.
Where do you how do you qualify? I don't know much about this.
Oh, yeah. So there are, there are a ton of qualifying races. They have to meet certain standards. I think there's a certain amount of vertical descent you can have. Like, for example, I think the Tucson Marathon is too much to be a valid qualifying time. So yeah, obviously if it's straight downhill, you're going to run really fast paces and it doesn't really equate. So there are this sort of guardrails, but yeah, there are a ton of qualifying races. So essentially you could do most marathons and qualify for Boston.
Okay.
So for me, I did Mesa and Phoenix, qualified at a certain time. And then, yeah, you can apply. And there are, I don't know if you've heard the controversy over the qualifying times.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think for a long time, you know, Boston has had their standards, which are quite aggressive. They're high. But in general, I think around 25% of people meet the standard, but there are only spots for 75% of them. So say, 40,000 apply, 30,000 actually get in.
Yeah.
So what they do is they just start chopping off the slower times and unfortunately inform those people you can't run Boston this year. So super fortunate for those people, of course. So they've moved down the standard 5 minutes, I think.
Okay.
To 2:55 for my age group to try to address that. But yeah, it was kind of a big deal this year. People talking about that. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah
interesting. That'll be really fun. That'll be a bucket list item for you.
For sure.
Huh? Yeah.
Very different than trail, but I think it's a good balance. Like I said, to have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have other, are there like other bucket list races in the next year or two you're looking at?
Yeah, there are a few. I am signed up for the Black Canyon 50K in February.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Move down from 60, so it's going to be even faster, which is hard to comprehend, but blazing course.
Right.
And then there are a few like Chuckanut up in Washington, 50K. It'd be really fun.
Okay.
You haven't quite decided like long term what the goals are, but just try to take it year by year. And I always try to ask myself, like, am I still passionate about this? Like, does this fire me up? Like,
yeah,
I don't take it for granted that every year I'm going to be doing races for the next decade.
Yeah,
we'll see if I'm still like fired up about it.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
Like, is your competitive drive pushing you? You're when I look at your resume, it's like you're knocking at the door.
Oh, you're so kind.
to first place. I mean, you're like right there, right? Are you like, you're probably one fast aid station or one little situation away from like starting to take first in these little things, or another year of training or whatever, is that like a goal?
I think it's individual for me. And I think a lot of these races, they are more, maybe community events. Like they're not. So I've done some Golden Trail races where if you ever want to get humble, go do are you aware of that series?
Not really. Tell me.
So it's through the Solomon brand.
Okay.
They've kind of pioneered like the live streaming actually. They did just great production value, live streaming races, episodes about the races, but it's an international World Series circuit. And one of the races came to Flagstaff, Sky Peaks 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so in that race, I was like, 36th place with like, because people are coming in from Europe all over the place.
Right.
So for that, it's a good reminder of like, it's really not about the placing. It's about how you feel about the performance and personal growth. So yeah, I try to chase those goals more than places, but yeah.
Well, some people, there's in bike packing, the egos are massive.
Yeah.
Right. And there's not even any money. Some of it has money and sponsorships, but
yeah,
the egos are pretty intense.
Interesting.
And
would not have thought that.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's, ultra sports are naturally kind of humbling. They kind of like open up your ego and smash it with a hammer. Yeah,
exactly.
And the longer distance you go, like the more humbled you get by these things. So I think that it's like a filter of assholes. Like it like filters, like the longer you go, the more like the assholes get filtered out, because like the people that are doing these things at these great distances are just like, it's hard no matter who you are,
Yeah.
So, but I see like when you go back into these like cross country races or shorter events, there's just more like competitiveness and testosterone and ego, and just it's really
high throttle. You're really
everybody's really fired up, like it is high throttle. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like I haven't experienced that with the shorter stuff. Like at least on trail, like the Cirque series, like it's just a big mountain party up there. Like everyone's on the start line at the same time.
Yeah,
you're having a beer after like the plaza. So it is like, it's very intense. Like I feel the stress on the short races because it's like, I've really got to like kick this for an hour. You can't breathe or take much breath. But yeah, thankfully I haven't experienced that too much or got caught up in that. Because at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't really matter if I get first place or third place in some of these events. Like it's not going to change my life or what I look back on, I don't think.
Right.
Or seventh or, whatever, 36th. So,
well, that's really humble, wise of you.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, shout out to Golden Trail. You go get, 56th place at Pikes Peak, kick you in the teeth. And it's like, yeah, you're really not that good.
Yeah. Cause you think you're good, whatever, regionally.
Yeah.
And then, all the Europeans show up.
Yeah. No, it's great.
What is it? What's with the Europeans? It's the same thing in ultra bike packing, like Tour Divide.
Yeah.
The top two guys, Ulrich Bartholomews and Justinius Levicus,
Okay.
have epic battles every year.
Like a Pogačar thing in the Tour, or like
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Vingegaard and Pogačar on the Tour de France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like
okay.
past couple of years, they're like the top two guys. So,
right. Yeah. So they've just every year it's like who's gonna win, and this is on a 14-day effort. With two guys riding from Canada to Mexico, basically.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of variables.
That's kind of fun. Yeah.
In that. Yeah. It's fun to watch like that. But this is like these Europeans just show up and crush.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably because they get like 3 months off out of the year to go travel and ride bikes or whatever. Right?
Yeah. There's something to that, the relaxation. Yeah.
Yeah. I always liked Americans work way too hard. And I always liked the holiday that Europeans would go on.
Yeah.
They literally would go on vacation. Like they would get 90 days off every year.
Yeah.
Just to do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Vacation.
Yeah. Like if you go to Europe or something for a week, they think you're crazy. It's like we're here for 2 months. What are you talking about?
Right.
Why would you come this far?
Have you been?
Yeah. So I actually went to Norway this year, and then I've been to the UK and Western Europe, so 2 times. But
how was Norway?
Norway was amazing, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would highly recommend.
Looks like it's like you're going back to your motherland.
Well, I am part Danish, so
Okay.
Yeah, went to there was a Hansen bakery there in Norway, so one country over. But yeah, that was certainly fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful country. If you like mountains and water, like I love Alaska. I've been 3 times. That combination, for some reason, the fjords is just like breathtaking.
Yeah.
And a lot chiller pace, I think, there than a Paris or big Western Europe city. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's just very calm and a nice trip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What was the sun situation like? Was it 24-hour sun, or was it out?
No, it was that let's see. So this was, gosh, I'm like struggling to it was late July into August.
Okay.
So yeah, still quite light out, I think, through at least 11 p.m. or so.
Right.
But it wasn't quite that midnight sun like high July, but
Right.
yeah. And then early sun as well. But
Yeah, I did a bike tour in Iceland
yeah.
2 years ago at the end of June. And it was the 24-hour sun
Cool.
thing going on.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like if you're out at a rooftop bar or something. I've been in Alaska and it's midnight. And you're like, it feels like it's 6 p.m.
We're in our tents
Yeah, trying to sleep.
trying to sleep,
Yeah.
and it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, we flew to the main island, or we flew in. Sorry, there's only one island. We flew to the main part of the island, Reykjavik, and then I met up with Dana at that point, who we were riding together, and then we had to fly to the West Fjords, which is like on the western part of the islands.
Okay.
On like a domestic flight, and we got in at 7:00 at night.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just ride. It's like full light out. We're both amped up. Let's just like get some miles in tonight. And we rode till 1 a.m. or something. It's just so weird because it was just hazy and gray the whole like 24 hours. The sun came out twice, 2 of the 5 days.
Yeah, it is.
And it was like, oh my God, there's sun.
Yeah, for sure.
From being from Arizona, it's like,
we're spoiled here.
Yeah. And it was cool though. And yeah, the fjords, lots of fjords. And those were, I would say, beautiful but frustrating to ride.
Okay.
Because you'd come around the corner and you would start like going back into the fjord and you could see the other side.
Right.
And it was whatever,
Yeah.
150 feet or 250 feet over on the other side, but it would take you an hour to get to there.
To get to the bridge.
Yeah, because you'd have to go all the way down the fjord and then turn
yeah.
around and I'll go all the way back. And every one of them, it was a headwind one direction and a tailwind the other direction. So it was like glorious and then horrible.
Oh, yeah, they're just big wind tunnels. So,
Yep, just coming down from the glaciers, like those big wind tunnels. And what I was surprised about was the amount of graded climbs that were there.
Okay.
I mean, there was like 14 to 16% climbs.
Oh, yeah.
On this thing,
road
climbs, but they were gnarly climbs.
Yeah. So yeah, actually the reason I went was for, have you heard of the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon? I know you said you were new to the space. But,
yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah.
So that's actually why I went. My girlfriend and I, Sarah, our friend Maddie, did the Norseman Extreme Triathlon.
Okay.
And it's like the world championship of extreme triathlon, that circuit.
Yeah.
So it's like, just take an Ironman. It's not affiliated with Ironman, but like make the swim really challenging. It was in a freezing fjord, or normally it's freezing. And then I think the bike was 10,000 gain alone. And then the run was like another 5,000 on a mountain.
Dude.
So like, yeah, she's a crusher.
So everything's just the dials turned up.
Yeah.
The intensity dial.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. How'd she do?
She did great. Yeah, she was a black shirt finisher, which means like, I think she was in the top 50%, roughly 60%. So she was able to finish on the mountain. And then the other people, I think for safety reasons, they have to have them just finish on the road up to the mountain saddle, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, she did great. It was super fun to be there. Sarah and her husband, Nathan, were the primary support people. Very official. They had the vests. The rules were very dialed and specific. So I couldn't give any aid or anything, but I was the videographer with my little GoPro and following them around, which was super fun. So certainly didn't help too much, but it was fun to be there to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the culture like? Did you go to restaurants and stuff? And
Yeah. It was great. Oslo was very lovely. That's where we flew into. Okay. Again, just very chill vibe. You had a lot of great fish and such. The thing that I really appreciated was like how progressive, and like the Norwegian economy is fueled by like oil historically. Okay. So they're kind of like using that wealth they've accumulated to pump back into green energy now. Yeah. So the bus systems are dialed. There's electric charging everywhere. They're very conscious about that kind of thing. So
yeah, they seem those countries, Sweden, Norway,
they're all
Iceland, very progressive when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is, it's cool to see. Like, it's fun to see maybe hopefully what the US looks like in 10, 20 years, but I don't know. Yeah.
They all have like centralized healthcare.
Yeah, I think they spend the most per person like in the world among countries, but
so Iceland was very, very utilitarian. Like the people were very, like they almost came off as rude, but they weren't being rude. They were just so, like everything's very systematic. And
they sound like Dutch people. That's like, my heritage too.
I love Dutch.
So direct.
Yeah. I love the Netherlands. I love Dutch people. We almost moved there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. There's a sister school from NAU that does a television production, because I went to school for TV production at NAU, and they have a sister school in a city called Breda, where they do an exchange program. And like there was an opportunity possibly there to like teach, in that exchange program. And I met a bunch of kids. So I was like a teacher's assistant at the NAU program. And, we were doing like broadcast stuff. So this was like a traditional newsroom, like mainstream news now, learning how to do stories and go out and do like news packages and stuff. So my job was to like drive them out to these places in Arizona, and they would do like a news package. So we'd drive out to like a climbing spot, and they would write and edit and produce a news package about this climbing area, or something about Route 66 or the Grand Canyon or whatever. Yeah. And I'd be like driving the van like full of Dutch people, right? Like out to these like wild places out in like my home. And I remember this one time we did this story out at Sycamore Canyon. There's like a climbing spot out there.
Yeah.
So we drove out to there. They did their package, and we're all driving back. And but side story, I I had to take this like van driver training
Okay.
from NAU.
Sure.
Be able to have passengers. And the guy who taught it looked like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Okay.
He had like the long blonde
I don't know who that
bleached
is,
hair.
but-
Oh, dude, you don't know who Dog the Bounty Hunter is? Oh, I wish we had a producer. We'd pull him up right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Long blonde hair. Okay, this is like really bad reality TV. It's so funny. He's like a staple in my life. Dog the Bounty Hunter. I have like a memorial for him.
Yeah. Little shrine in your house.
Shrine for Dog.
Yeah.
Dog and Beth. Okay, well, he's like this bleach blonde guy that goes after people who, you know, he's collecting on their bounties. And he like lived in Hawaii, and he's like a white dude, and he like wears leather and has keys, like lots of keys always, you know, jangling around and like that type of guy. So this guy is like real rugged, smokes a lot of cigarettes, you know, this type of guy. So he taught me how to like drive these Dutch people around. And anyway, that was the side story. We go out, we do the package. On the way back, I'm in like the NAU van, and I hit something in the road on one of these dirt roads, and it punches a hole in the oil pan on the bottom of the van.
Oh man.
And I drain all the oil out of the bottom of the van. And I'm like an employee at this time, and it was an accident, and I'm like, okay, well, what do we do? So we get as far as we can, and we end up pulling into there's that Route 66 biker bar that's out on the way to Williams.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe I have.
It's like a big warehouse looking building, but it's like a Route 66 biker bar.
Oh, is that by Belmont, or is that further? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Harley Davidson.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
so we end up making it into that parking lot.
Okay.
And then the van's dead.
Just crashes. Yeah.
Right. And so, here's me and 10 Dutch people walking into this like Harley Davidson biker bar.
A bunch of tall, blue-eyed people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, you know what? This is a good day. I'm actually giving them like a real American experience, right? Like they get to really see what this is like. Because they're like, you know, this world is completely different. Like if you grow up in the Netherlands and you're not a world traveler, like people are carrying guns on the side of their hips.
Oh yeah.
They don't even like guns aren't even like legal in the Netherlands.
Yeah, different.
You can't even have guns, right? And we're just like, yeah, we got them on our hip right here. No big deal. So it's like
Full Arizona experience. Yeah.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah. So we end up getting that sorted out, and I befriend some of them and throughout this process. And there was also a quick side story on this. I told 2 of them that I was going to have a party in my apartment. I was like, come over, you know, we're going to have some drinks, you know. We're all like 20 years old, allegedly. And, you know, Friday night rolls around, and I'm waiting for these 2 kids. And we have a small, tiny little 2-bedroom apartment, me and Jessica. And I go and I look, and there's like a hill that goes down to our apartment. And I go and I look outside, and there's like 50 to 60 people walking down this hill towards my apartment. And they had all like told each other about it.
Yeah. Network effect. Yeah.
Dude, I was like, oh, brace yourself.
This is in a 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom?
2-bedroom.
Okay.
Small, like 800 square feet maybe.
Packing it in. Yeah.
Dude, and they just like the full Dutch descend on our apartment, and then it just all hell breaks loose.
Dutch invasion. Yeah.
Dutch invasion. Yeah. Just chaos. We're just like having a great time, allegedly, and everybody's, you know, really having a good time. And then the cops show up. Oh, we even have this guy from upstairs acting like our doorman. He was like sitting out front smoking a cigarette.
Great neighbor. Yeah.
And people started asking him if he could like, if he would grant them entry into the house. And he like just started playing the doorman, like faking it.
Yeah.
And then the cops show up, and I'm like, what am I going to do here? And there's like literally like Dutch people shooting out the windows on the side, hiding booze like everywhere, like because they're panicking because you know some of them are allegedly underage.
Yeah.
And so they I'm like, well, let me. What am I going to say to the cops? Like, so I just run out and I'm like, thank God you guys are here.
Yeah.
I can't
just immediately throw them under the bus.
Yeah. Well, I was just like, there's a lot going on here. I don't know what happened, you know.
I was enjoying a night alone watching The Bachelor, and these people showed up.
They just descended on us.
And so the cops kind of laughed, and there were just all these Dutch people speaking Dutch to him, and the cops are just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they kind of laugh it off, and they're like, all right, yeah, we got to get everybody out of here, and it all kind of smooths over. And then for months after that, I'm finding alcohol stashed in my apartment.
Oh, that's fun.
In random places. Like we go to cook something in the oven, and there's like 40s in the oven. There's just like stuff behind the couch.
Yeah.
Screens are popped out. Like it was it was a good time.
Yeah, that's fun.
So ever since then, and then we took a trip to Europe, and I met up with some of those same people. Like this was like a year later, and they gave me like the tour of the Netherlands.
Amsterdam too, or
okay. Yeah, we went to Amsterdam. We took like a whole Europe tour, and then we ended up in Amsterdam for a couple days. We went and saw like the Anne Frank house and a couple of like historical places there.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in Breda, where these people I knew were from.
Okay.
And stayed with them.
Yeah.
We had a free place to stay, and they gave us like the full tour, like the booze tour and the smoke shop tour and everything.
Yeah.
And there was this one smoke shop called Purple Rain, and it was completely dedicated to Prince.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It was like a Prince themed smoke shop.
That's great.
Or coffee shop, you call it?
Yeah.
Coffee shop.
Yep.
And that's where we just got super silly. Well, basically the guy that was meeting us, because this was pre cell phones.
Oh, okay.
So we just were like writing emails to each other, right? We didn't
hop
have
into an internet cafe and send an email. Yeah.
So we didn't have like a very good way of like coordinating with people.
Yeah.
Like you do now.
You have to be very diligent. No canceling plans.
I think you had cell phones, but they didn't work.
Okay.
Like you had to get a special type of phone for it to work in a foreign country.
Sure.
So we were like, we'll meet you here at this time.
Yeah.
Right. And we ended up, he was like, be at the Purple Rain smoke shop at 3:00 or coffee shop. And we were like, okay. So we get there, and we get there at like 2:00, and we get completely just like, I'm completely barbecued. I'm just like stoned out of my mind. Right. And everything's just like Prince themed around me. Right. And we're waiting for these people that we don't really know. Mm-hmm. Right. And this guy walks in, the front of the smoke shop, and he looks around and he's like,
Dylan,
are the Americans here? That's what he said.
You could probably tell.
Oh yeah. And everybody turned and looked at us.
Yeah.
And I was like, and he's like, okay. And he had ridden his bike there. He's like, okay, we're going to get you on this bus. Okay. And I'm going to give instructions to the guy who's driving the bus.
To get you home, or
to get us to their place.
Oh, to their place. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so he's just like ushering us out, and we're both like, we hope we're not getting like human trafficked here. Right. And the guy says something in Dutch to the bus driver, and we just like get on the bus and trust. And it all worked out okay. But it was like, we were young, and we were like backpacking and didn't really know.
No, they're super nice, just like very direct. Like, yeah. My relatives are hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. So it and I, ever since that moment, and that, like, especially seeing all the countries, and like you said, Paris has like this vibe, for me at the time, it had like a weird anti-American vibe. This was like post 9/11.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of weird, not right after, but it was a few years after 9/11. Mm-hmm. I think this was like, maybe it was more years than a few. I think it was like 2008 maybe. But there was still like a weird, like I wanted to put a Canadian patch on my backpack. I wanted to be Canadian because people were still kind of weird about Americans.
Gotcha.
Especially in France. So, and then
they probably still are now to some extent. We got some comments in a Norwegian sauna.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, just, about the election coming up, but
oh, right.
We won't go into that, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there is. And at that time, I don't know, there was a weird vibe in some of these countries, but the Netherlands, it was like, this is cool. Like it's very accepting. It was very like multicultural.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not sure how it is now. There's been a lot of like more conservative leanings, and a lot of like there's like some pretty popular conservative politicians in some of these countries now that have kind of mirrored some of the things that are happening in the US, but in general I could easily live there.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so
cool.
So so Norway was good experience overall.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, I would recommend it to pretty much anybody. Was
it expensive? Like, was the cost of goods?
I think I was kind of nerding out on the exchange rates and stuff. Like, it looks like it's the Norwegian krone, they call it. They don't use the euro. It's been declining in value for, I think, a few years. So I didn't really know. It seemed like pretty on par with our pricing. Everything is like, I think the math in my head was like, it's in like cents. Like, you have to times everything by like 10.
Oh, okay.
So like, you'd buy like a coffee, it'd be like 100 krone. You're like, oh my God,
Right.
So that took a few days to accumulate to.
Right.
Things like that. But yeah.
Did you eat was there the crazy shark meat there?
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that.
Oh,
I've heard of the pickled herring, I think, but no crazy food. Yeah.
What did you eat? Did you eat anything
I think
adventurous?
it wasn't even that wild, but have you heard of the brown cheese they have there?
No.
It's like, there's a whole process with it, but at the end they caramelize it, so it turns like this brown color. And by itself, it's a very weird flavor. It's like sweet and savory and like kind of smoky almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, by itself, we weren't too much of a fan of it. But like with jam and bread and butter, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So
what is there like a main staple food, like a historic food? Fish, I guess. Probably salted fish or something.
Fish, yeah. Seems like they love their bread and pastries. We had so many cinnamon buns, which was great because that was actually our peak mileage week. Sarah and I think we both did like 75.
So you're just like carbs and sugar?
Yeah, carbs and sugar, baby. Protein when you can.
Bakeries were really prevalent in Iceland also.
Okay,
and like
yeah.
really good bakeries.
Yeah, I think that's like kind of what they do for breakfast. I'm not an expert, but yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like it was very just like grab and go, like a pastry.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, they were. It was a thing.
Yeah.
But the shark meat is this. So I did a food tour when I got to Reykjavik. I did. I was waiting for Dana. He was doing some work stuff. Actually, he was there for some work stuff, and so I had a couple days to kill. So I did a food tour, and they brought us to this. They had brought us to this kind of hole in the wall bar that served this like special shark. That apparently
Hole in the wall bar for sure.
Yeah, it was.
That's a great intro there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was questionable for sure.
Yeah.
But apparently I forget the name of the shark. But so it's they bring it out and it's in a jar and it's like white cubes in like a mason jar, right?
Okay.
And they're like they keep it covered. They like won't open it because apparently how rank it is.
Okay.
How intensely it smells.
Is it like pickled almost or like preserved? Is that the
Yeah.
Okay,
it's the Greenland shark, which so Iceland like is positioned right between. There's the Greenland Sea, which is between Iceland and Greenland.
Yeah.
And there's this shark that lives kind of in and around that area, and it lives so deep when it's so cold. It's evolved to not have kidneys.
Oh.
So it like when it urinates, it like comes out of its skin, and it goes into all of its muscles.
This sounds very concerning. Yeah.
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 And so the Vikings that first landed in that area, this was kind of the main dish. Leif Erikson and his crew, the Leif Erikson Viking crew, they would pretty much take this shark, slice it up, and then they would ferment it.
Yeah.
After that. So not only does it have like urine in its skin, in its muscles, but then they would ferment it on top of that. So it's like special. Some special tasting stuff, right? Yeah. And I was in this tour group who was mostly gay males. There was a gay cruise happening.
Okay.
And they were in Reykjavik for like 2 days, and then they were going to get on this gay cruise.
Okay.
And so it was like the whole spectrum of gay man was with me, right? There was like the dramatic gay man to like the like, I guess older, like more conservative gay man who kind of grew up in an era where it wasn't okay to publicly be gay and out in the open. So there was like, it was like me and a couple other couples and then like 20 gay dudes, right? And it just was this whole thing, like bringing the shark out. And, I'm like, I got my fork out to go, get some. And they're like, no. Use a toothpick.
Oh, okay.
Be careful. And there were, dramatic dudes like dry heaving. And it was like,
oh, man.
Yeah, it was a whole
thing.
So
why the toothpick? Was it to get like just one piece?
Yeah.
Or was it? Okay.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take a spoonful of
small
it,
cubes.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like tofu cubes.
Yeah.
Like an inch.
It does look like tofu.
Oh, okay.
Cubes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like maybe 1 inch by 1 inch.
Man. So you just eat it straight up. No dressing or anything. No lettuce wrap.
No lettuce wrap.
Okay. That wouldn't do much either.
No deep fried.
Deep fried. Okay.
Yeah, shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. The other interesting fact I learned about that area is, and I don't know if this is true or not. This could be complete fluff that the tour guide was telling us, but it's fun anyway. When you go out to the bars, if you're trying to meet somebody or hook up with somebody at the bars, there's an app on your phone that you like touch together, and it's either a green light or a red light, and it tells you if it's okay to hook up or not if you're related. Like it like tracks your genealogy or whatever to make sure.
Must be a really
related.
big problem if they have an app for it. Wow.
Yes, it is a big problem because it's like I think 80,000 people live in the country.
Okay.
And 85 or 90% of them are all in Reykjavik.
Oh wow. Okay, that's fascinating.
So like, there's a pretty good chance that if you're out at a bar, you're going to be like someone you're related to that you don't know.
I heard this funny. I think it's actually a good idea. I forgot what country it's in, maybe Spain or something. But like, there's this thing now where instead of dating apps, they're kind of pushing those away. Mm-hmm. You show up at a supermarket in the produce section, I think, and like hold a pineapple. I think this might be me making stuff up, but I think I saw this like literally. So if you're holding a pineapple in the produce section, you're open to dates.
Okay.
So people can meet there in person at a given time.
Yeah.
And then maybe spark something off. But
pineapples.
I thought that was great.
Supposed to be for swingers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
This is all over my head. So.
Yeah, no, I learned that like a year ago, so don't feel too bad.
Oh, okay.
But pineapple was supposed to be like the universal sign for swinging.
Okay.
So like a pineapple necklace or a hat or whatever. And it's like...
Interesting. That's a whole
What happens
thing.
if you just like pineapples? Like if you just have a funny shirt and
Yeah.
you're riding your bike and it happens to have pineapples on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think these people are just normal. Normal dating,
But apparently now
Yeah.
it's something else. It's like the pineapple's different. It's some other thing. It's like an upside down something. I don't know what it is, but you got to be careful. You can't just like,
I don't know.
so, but maybe
Yeah.
it's completely a different culture. Maybe that's like a U.S.
Anyway,
thing,
yeah. I was trying to think of the Flagstaff equivalent for that. What we could do.
Yeah. Have you ever done the dating apps?
I have in a past life, well, a few years ago, but thankfully met Sarah like as a friend first, so it's been nice. Yeah,
I couldn't even imagine like how disconnected. Like I feel disconnected doing. The reason why I do this podcast in person is because like I want to be sitting in front of the person.
Yeah,
I can't even do like I have trouble with Zoom conversations. I find it better when it's in person. Right? It can be done. It's like for utility.
Absolutely.
Zoom's great.
Yeah.
But like there's just a disconnect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
I don't know if there's the lag and then there's just like when you're not, there's an energy when you're in person.
Totally.
Right. And you just don't get that when you're not in person. For a work utility, I think it's a fantastic tool.
Yep.
Right. But if you're trying to really like, there's a reason why people would fly before Zoom. There's a reason why people would like fly somewhere, even to another country to do big business deals.
Yeah. Yep.
Because being in person has something a little different, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's special.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I don't know how I got off on. Oh yes, dating. So I don't know. I couldn't even imagine it. You know, I haven't been in the dating world in a long time, way long time, and I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. So that's cool with the pineapple in the grocery store.
Yeah, give it a shot. Maybe go to Fry's here in Flagstaff, see if anyone's holding a pineapple.
or just do it for a while and see who shows up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I know what'll happen. Given. All right, hey, I gotta pee. Let's take a break.
Sounds good.
All right. So yeah, this has cordyceps in it, which are supposed to be. They grow in like the Himalayan hillside, apparently.
Cool.
And so the woo-woo science is that they help with oxygen absorption, and that's what makes all the Sherpas like so good at absorbing oxygen or something like that.
Yeah. Or just living there.
Living there probably makes a big, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That probably makes a bigger difference.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are some studies that lion's mane, like some stuff showing preliminary anecdotal evidence that some of these mushroom extracts are good for like cognitive health later in life, like to prevent cognitive decline.
Yep.
I think specifically lion's mane.
I think coffee in general too. Like I'm not sure about if it's the caffeine or what properties, but
Coffee, yeah. Coffee's my last vice I have left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just not a addictive personality, and I tried giving up coffee, and I just was like, what am I doing? It's okay.
Yeah, as long as you're not loading it up with sugar. I mean, actually, you probably could use the sugar if you're doing endurance sports, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I like about this stuff. This Laird stuff is it's pretty. It's organic coconut sugar, I think.
Okay, cool.
So if you're gonna have sugar, I think
Yeah,
there's a
it's
spectrum of sugar, and
Yeah,
like there's a difference between a high fructose corn syrup and like an organic,
for sure.
coconut sugar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's your take on that? Like, what's your diet like?
Nutrition? Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, I think I follow that. What is that quote? It's like, eat mostly plants. I'm completely butchering this, but the idea is like mostly whole foods, and then like the other 10-20% doesn't matter so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like with endurance sports, like it's often just about getting enough calories in, right? So I'm not too concerned about eating some refined oils or something if it's like a small percentage.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in general, lots of veggies, like we do tofu, rice, chicken, those sorts of things. Like definitely limit some red meat and such. But yeah, I'm not afraid. We went to In-N-Out last night, so
Yes.
I'm not too worried about it.
What's your favorite In-N-Out? What do you get?
I haven't been to the new one in Flagstaff. It was built up so much, but I know there's a whole secret menu thing I haven't even heard of for years.
Yeah.
But I just went with a double and chocolate vanilla milkshake. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful
Yeah.
about In-N-Out is just like it's so consistent, and no matter where you go, it's going to be the same experience.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it great, right?
Yeah.
And from a business point of view, engineering a process point of view,
Oh, yeah.
it's like going to an amusement park,
Uh-huh.
right? Like I took my parents there; they'd never been to the Flagstaff one.
Oh, fun.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, you just look at how many people are working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of them are like high school kids, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that when I was young, that was a great high school job. Like,
Did you work there or?
no, but like
Just-
work at a
okay.
place like that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I think that gets into the minimum wage debates and stuff, but like, I think you need to work your way up. You need to like learn some of these base skills, and you need to learn when you work like specifically in food service, you learn a couple things. One, you probably never want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want out of there. And two, you learn a lot of respect, and you have a lot of empathy for people working in food service the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like Israel has like a year of indentured military service or something?
Yeah. I think I've heard that. Yeah.
So like,
Yep.
I've always advocated for like Americans should have to
Get your
have a
hands dirty
year.
little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
they should have to work either like in a volunteer, or they get two choices. They can either go like military, volunteer, or work food service for a year.
Yeah.
Right? Because food services, have you ever worked food service?
No, but I've been close. I've done room cleaning at
Okay.
Snowbird Ski Resort, and then I did detailing, car detailing for a long time.
Okay.
So I've seen the messy stuff. I've seen, messy minivans and
Dude.
stuff like that. But food service is different because you're interacting with people. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
just, it's high stress, and
Yeah.
you're partying with all your coworkers. There was that movie Waiting. It's an old Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yep.
They like so nailed it. They
Yeah.
nailed everything. At least when I'm sure maybe some of that stuff is different now, but when I was coming up as a young man, they nailed exactly every aspect of food service. Like from the chefs being like insane. Like we did insane shit when I was 16 years old working at the golf course restaurant.
Maybe not all to code, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, no. I mean,
That's what I got from watching it.
we would have like pain competitions where we'd like get these giant wood handle steak knives and like smash each other's fingernails with it and see
Yeah.
who could like not flinch.
Yeah.
One time this guy, we put one of those, there are these laundry bags where you put all the rags in there, and like all the dirty rags would go in these like laundry bags. We like put it over him and shoved him in the walk-in cooler and like locked him into the walk-in cooler for like 2 hours.
This just sounds like the plot of The Bear. Have you watched The Bear?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh.
No. Oh, is there? Oh man, it'll bring back some memories.
Yeah, well, it's more of a professional chef take on that, but
Okay.
like it's just the stress of the kitchen, and like the head chef Carmen gets locked in a freezer for a few hours and has a complete just meltdown.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just everything to a T there.
It was nuts, dude. The
But-
chef, he was this like, so I lived near the border, and so there's like a lot of Hispanic cooks and stuff that work there. And there was this one like white chef was like the head chef, and they brought him in from Tucson. he worked at like a fancy restaurant in Tucson.
Okay.
And then
chef.
Yep. They brought him in so we could like up the quality of the food at this like little golf course.
This is literally the bear. Like,
Really?
plot. This is so funny. Yeah.
Dude, I've never seen it. I saw previews
just
for
keep
it.
talking. It's like
And so
yeah.
and he would do like and we kind of like befriended him as like this dad figure kind of guy, but also guy who would like give us cigarettes and stuff.
Okay.
You know, he'd like buy like,
Cool dad. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd like buy stuff for us. And I remember he made some like dice, like fake dice out of tape. And we'd be like rolling dice in the back for cigarettes.
Okay.
Like gambling,
you
know, like between our shifts or whatever. It was just, I think, part of an experience that, and then there was the whole work part, you know, like dealing with, it was in a retirement community. So it was like dealing with old people and just, there was just like a life lesson dynamic that I look back and I'm like, yeah, man, that was an important part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I did a lot of stuff that probably is like I wouldn't do again, but like
Yeah.
it was important that
there's value in that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't get paid anything. I mean,
Yeah.
that was back when servers made like almost nothing.
Yeah. All tips.
It was all tips.
Yeah.
And so but it was formative. So back to nutrition, you eat pretty clean.
Yeah.
What do you think about, there are some of these runners, elite type runners that have kind of put themselves into these like diet boxes. There's like the low carb runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of a whole like scene.
Keto. Yeah.
That
scene.
keto scene
Sure.
and low carb scene. What's your thoughts on that as far as like intermixing those two things?
Like elites and diets or
Yeah, just like very specific diets. And kind of mixing it in with performance.
Yeah, you know, I think whatever works. I think the human body is amazing at adapting to what you give it. So I don't think there's a wrong answer. Like for me, it's just easy to consume carbs. I feel pretty good on carbs.
Yeah.
You know, the Kenny runners are eating carbs. They're doing pretty well. So it seems to be working for some folks. But yeah, I think there's a lot of personal health choices there and just whatever works for you. I think it's fine to experiment. But yeah, personally, I don't find it valuable to be dogmatic about that stuff.
Right.
I'll kind of eat what's ever there. Not too picky.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it almost is an ideology, right?
Yeah.
Like diet, almost like veganism for sure. Keto,
Yeah.
high carb or
Yeah.
low carb.
Yeah. And I certainly try to, you know, eat vegan, but mainly just for health and environmental reasons once in a while. But yeah, I'm not afraid to eat a burger too. You know, I think it's all about that balance.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you experimented with any of this like high carb stuff coming out in like drink mixes and stuff?
Yeah, you know, I've definitely bumped up the carbs just with I haven't read the literature myself, but on the podcast, everyone's talking about the 100 carbs an hour is like the new gold standard for ultra runners. I think that's probably too much for me, the distances I'm doing. Certainly like a 10K, you would never do that.
Right.
You're probably going to throw up. But yeah, like in the marathon and even at Imogene, I was targeting between at least 60 or 80 an hour. And like the precision, I think it's Precision Sport or Nutrition brand gels are super great.
Okay.
Really like nice texture to the gel, and like it's 30 carbs for one gel. You take 2 of those and some scratch in your bottles, and you're going to be in a good spot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 30 grams.
And you know they are expensive. You know, it's kind of not quite in that spring energy category. I don't want to get into that, but yeah, slightly below that price point.
Right.
So certainly for me, it's more of a racing tool. Whereas if I'm just going for a long run, I'll eat like a natural Pop-Tart from Whole Foods or something. Or a cereal bar.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like,
this
stuff gets cost prohibitive if you're not sponsored.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And with endurance, the longer you go, the more you need this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And
like, it's a $50 long run if you're not careful, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like a nice dinner.
So totally. So, yeah, I did a kind of an analysis on looking at Tailwind and Martins and Scratch and Goo, Roctane, and looking at like basically breaking it down to the price per carb, you know, and what's the cheap, because I know it's not all about that, but there's differences in quality, and I think Martins, is that how you say it? Martins?
Martin, yeah.
Morton? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone needs to, some director
It's like the Imogene debate.
Yeah.
Need to poll after this.
I'm going to call it Martins. I think that's what it's been told. But apparently that stuff is like the best quality, but it's also the highest price.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's like the gels are like unflavored, and they like go down. Dana said that they, on his ride across Arizona that he said that he could consume them for 3 days, no problem.
Oh wow. Okay. No
Like,
taste fatigue.
Yeah, and I get real bad taste fatigue with
Yeah.
tailwind and
anything.
anything.
Me too. Any sugar after a race, I almost can't touch it for a few hours at least, or a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got horrible sores in my mouth after CTR.
Yeah, I've heard that. Different people
Yeah.
talk about that. I haven't
From
experienced
gummy
that,
worms.
but- okay.
Well, if
Yeah.
they were sweet and sour, that was probably my bad.
Yeah. There is so for drink mix, I use the Scratch Super Fuel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Super Fuel. Anyway, it's that like cluster dextrin mix, so it's like very low sugar. It's just like that complex carbohydrate, and it's actually hard to mix. It's like very gooey, so you really have to shake your bottles well.
Right.
But yeah, if you aren't a sugar person, like that's a great flavor. It's just not too sweet at all. So
Okay.
like maybe like 5 or 10 grams a serving, I think, or less. But
Yeah. Have you heard of
yeah.
Blank's Nutrition?
no.
New place in Flagstaff.
Okay.
Local company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard about them, so they're getting a free shout out here.
Yeah.
You can find them online, but they offer a ton of different flavors, and they offer customization on the maltodextrin to glucose levels or whatever it is. There's like the 2 different sugars. Maybe it's fructose and maltodextrin. They offer like your ability to customize those for your needs. So if you like, I don't.
Do they do a test for you first to tell you that?
I'm sure they would.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You mean like on your test your body and send in results or something?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know if that's even possible. But yeah, some sort of exam or test where they could tell what you respond to or don't. Like some people have trouble with fructose,
Right.
You mentioned. So
I don't know if
stomach
they do
issues
that.
or,
Yeah.
Or if you just know, like if I eat a piece of fruit, and, yeah.
For new people, definitely that would be helpful.
Yeah.
So you don't have to trial and error it. Like
Yeah.
I don't respond well to maltodextrin, so I can't do like goo.
Okay.
Because that's basically maltodextrin. And tailwind I respond really well to because it's like sucrose or glucose or whatever the other one is. I don't remember.
Gross, yeah.
But it's not maltodextrin. And that stuff's like fantastic. No problems,
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of test. There's got to be a.
Or yeah, maybe it's subjective. It's just like this one hurts my stomach, or they could give you just certain things, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
I mean, they're growing. They're brand new. They're growing.
That's great. Yeah.
So I haven't quite tried it yet because I bought like 15 bags of Tailwind at their Black Friday sale.
You're set for a
So,
while. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
I don't
set.
know what rate you consume that at, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
Goes
a
fast.
lot, and that kind
Yeah.
of like I've thought about that, right? And like I've thought about, am I gonna like, is there a possibility that I could get like diabetes from this? Like,
I think if you're working, you don't have to work. I mean, if you're doing it while exercising, I wouldn't be too worried, but
right?
that's my opinion. I don't know if that.
But
yeah.
it's a lot of sugar,
It is a lot of sugar. Yeah. Yeah.
and like out of exercise or out of an event, I'm pretty like anti-sugar. Like I try to not consume a lot of sugar.
Even in recovery or that sort of thing.
I'll eat whatever I want a week after,
Okay.
but then
Yeah.
I get back on track.
Yeah.
Like during training, I try to stay like pretty, more like a Whole30, like kind of as you say, like whole foods. I liked this philosophy once where if you could go to the grocery store and buy only things that didn't have ingredient labels on them,
Yeah.
you're set.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
fruit, meat, chicken, spices. Like if it doesn't have an ingredient label,
Yeah. Or
lettuce,
it's
vegetables,
one thing. Yeah.
you're probably good. You can
Yep.
probably eat as much as you want too, and not
Yeah.
like get obese. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But that's really really hard to stick to, and it takes a lot of energy to cook all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing 100-mile races, you need those pretty, high caloric density foods,
Yeah.
like processed stuff, to be honest, sometimes. Like,
Oh yeah. I'm not talking
I
about
don't- yeah,
eating
yeah.
that, eating
yeah.
apples and
Yeah.
a chicken when you're 50
Yeah.
miles into something.
And that's probably up for debate too, but yeah. I mean, for me, I'm obviously a skinny guy, so I'm just trying to get enough calories in general
Yeah.
most of the time. So
Right.
Yeah.
We have opposite problems. We have opposite problems there. You also put in probably way more than me as far as training.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about an interesting thing that happened with Aravaipa recently.
yeah.
They partnered with USADA. and introduced drug testing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why? Why do you love it? What is this? What is this? Was there a problem before? What have you seen?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm not an elite competitor. You know, I'm not going for golden tickets or chasing sponsorships necessarily. But I think for the integrity of the sport and respect for people who are, I think it's important to have at least the beginnings of guardrails there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have heard rumblings from all sorts of places, you know, who knows if they're valid, but, you know, certainly there is a percentage, I'm sure, of people in ultra and trail running who are, you know, doping. So I think having that basic guardrail is probably helpful for the sport integrity and things like that. So, and it's not perfect, but it's a first step at least to.
Yeah. I mean, USADA is legit.
Yeah.
Like they were embedded with the UFC for 7 or 8 years when Reebok sponsored the UFC.
Yeah.
It brought in this kind of clean sport
Yep.
approach to MMA, which before that was like the Wild West.
Right. Which I think is where trail running has been for a while, right? But yeah.
It's so interesting that
Yeah.
Aravaipa specifically has made they've done multiple things in the past 5 years to legitimize ultra running
Yep.
into this powerhouse with live streaming first.
Yep.
You know, you said earlier that maybe Solomon they kind of maybe set the groundwork for that.
I'm not sure if I think they were a little earlier, but
Okay.
still, I mean, Arvipe is certainly a pioneer here. So,
And you know, one of the things that I find so fascinating about that is they had to wait for the technology to become available for them to be able to live stream this stuff.
Yeah.
So Starlink specifically.
Yeah.
What were they
The timelines
5 years ago? How were they going to stream live video out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
So it was this like combination of these things happening where Starlink became prevalent.
Yep.
And they were like, we've been wanting to live stream. I don't know. I'd have to talk to, you know, Jamil or whoever's in charge of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And find it out. But it was one of the
Where was
smartest
the vision
things.
versus the timing and
Right.
the realities of doing it? Yeah.
Like, were they, you know, 5 years ago saying, we really think we can live stream this. We just don't. We just can't put it through the LTE networks,
right?
Because they can't handle the bandwidth that's needed for.
Yeah.
Or was it like, oh, hey, we can. There's Starlink now. Let's make video.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that was one of the most important things for like Cocodona.
Oh yeah, it's amazing to
see.
see those numbers. Yeah.
Turn it into a spectator sport.
Yeah, and even shorter stuff too. That's why Golden Trail is fun, because it could be like watching a baseball game eventually, right? Where it's like that high octane, like super compact event for 2 hours. Like, it could be fun if it's a close race. I mean, some of the Golden Trail races this year, it's come down to literally a second, like a sprint finish,
dude,
and epic. You know, that could be great TV.
Absolutely.
But so is Cocodona. There's room for both, you know?
Well, and that's what was exciting about the end of Cocodona this last year. It almost was like, I mean, it was an endurance version of a sprint finish.
Yeah.
Where the second place guy overtook the first place guy at the very end. Like, not running down the home stretch, but like,
that was a great moment.
Pretty dang close, right? And it was like, oh my God. Right? So to see it in shorter races.
Oh, it'd be fun.
You know, I mean, the Olympics are fun, right? Like these short, you know, these 1500 and 2000. What do they do? A 1500 and then like the half marathon.
Yeah.
And a marathon.
And I think it's more interesting than a road marathon. I mean, you don't tend to have, well, you have some packs, but you know, there's gorgeous scenery. There's like different grades. There's, you know, a road marathon, the first 20 miles can be a little bland sometimes.
Right.
But I still watch it. But
right.
Yeah.
What about competitive speed walking in the Olympics? You watch that?
I haven't watched that.
Dude,
I know they train here. I've heard of groups in flag training.
Getting it, dude.
Which is great, yeah.
Getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like me at mile 60
of
maybe.
Stagecoach?
Yeah, of Stagecoach.
Speed walking.
I thought I was a competitive speed walker
Power,
at that moment.
Power walking.
Yeah. Power, like staggering into the night.
Yeah. But yeah, the anti-doping thing, it's, you know, I think it's so complex, right? There's the out of training potential for doping. Like, it's not always at the event itself. You could be taking substances through your entire training block and then taper off of it, you know, the last couple of months or whatever the timeline is. But yeah, so, you know, it's unfortunate, but I think you can't worry about it too much. But that's why having these new standards like that USADA brings is important, I think.
Yeah.
To start to improve that process.
Yeah, it seems like it's the second big thing Aravaipa has done to legitimize ultra sports.
And it's expensive, right?
Oh yeah,
to do that stuff. So certainly appreciate it.
You know, what happened in the UFC, this is my baseline for comparison, right? So in the pre-USADA era in the UFC, dudes were like in their 40s, 41, 42, jacked, monsters, endurance, just crushing everybody, right? High, like top 5 guys. And then USADA came in and you saw them literally like deflate and like go out of like not be like, it was a very clear, it didn't catch the people. Well, it did catch people, but it was a very clear indicator on who was doping previously.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
By inference.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I'm just really curious if we're going to see this sort of thing happen where you're going to see people who typically were competing well. And I think like the key here is later into life. 'Cause like you get into your 40s or 35, 40, this stuff, there's just no way around it biologically. You just can't compete with the 25-year-olds.
Depending on the event, right? Yeah,
Longer the event,
absolutely,
the more factors there are.
Hey, I mean, I got whooped by 2 40-year-olds at Imogene, so
yeah,
there you go.
Right,
it's a fast race. Yeah,
totally.
Yep.
I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
There's this guy El Frico, Jeff Himperly,
Outliers, right? Yeah,
who's just who's 52 and he's just like an animal.
Yeah.
Right? He's an animal. He's an outlier. But I think generally speaking, those things definitely help you continue, especially if you're an aging athlete. You're relying on the sponsorship money and you're starting to age out of your career and you need this money. Like you're living off this money. Right?
Yeah.
So I think people have a tendency to like sacrifice their ethics when it comes to gathering their resources, which gathering resources are money and lifestyle, right? You have a job, you have a full-time job, right? If you had a sponsor, like, and you survived exclusively off of that, I think there's like a fine line of what you're willing to do to keep that. Some people are really, really, really good at it, like Courtney DeWalter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, have you ever seeked sponsorship or?
No, I think the closest thing is there's the Rabbit team. They've got like an elite trail team, which I think it's a fairly, low bar. There's like a time entrant standard you have to make, but that's like the only thing I've been interested in. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's so competitive now, which is fantastic, but it's almost like I'm glad it's not my career too. I made that mistake with music almost, where it's like I thought that was the thing I wanted to do, but then I realized the lifestyle that would entail, and like, I just realized it wasn't for me. So I think I like the balance of having something else too. Yeah. But it's just crazy. The talent though is insane to try to now in trail to get sponsored. So yeah.
I mean, I speaking speculatively, think that there's definitely people at the tip of the spear doing nefarious shit.
But that's every profession too. Yeah, there's just a percentage, right? That's not playing by the rules.
There's a spectrum of people in any profession.
Yeah,
right. And there's really good people and there's really bad people, and then there's everybody in between. And so to think that like in my work, I'm going to come across the good people and the bad people. At the grocery store, I'm going to come across those people, right? In the lanes, and then in the sport, you're going to come across these people.
Yeah,
it's not like people are absolved from those decisions. I just think that when money gets involved, it corrupts easier, right?
Yeah, that's why you need these controls, I think. Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
like
it's a start.
Do you know, or do you have any speculation on like the impetus behind adding the USADA? Like, were there situations, or was it purely just the next evolution of the sport, do you think?
Well, I think you've seen, I'm speaking generally here, I don't remember the specifics, but there have been positive drug tests in the Golden Trail circuit.
Okay.
In the last year, I believe there was a gal at Sarah Zanal, I believe, and then Stian Ingerman, I forget his last name, but
what were they taking? Do you know?
Gosh, I can't remember. Maybe it was testosterone in one case, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I think there's the Olympics too. That was I don't know if you heard about the controversy with the Chinese swimmers. So I think it's sport in general, and then the Tour de France is the big like moment, right, in sport. They realized how prevalent it was
with Lance Armstrong.
Yeah,
and that
whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that thing was insane because like the next person in line that wasn't doping was like 14th or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like everybody from 1 to 13 or 1 to 12 all tested positive.
Yeah.
And he just, Lance Armstrong, there's a really, really amazing documentary on I think ESPN produced it, about that and how screwed he got on that whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Like he was made an example of, for sure.
Oh, as in like, I mean, the whole top end of the field was doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Everybody was doing it.
I mean, he was the face, though.
You had to do it to compete.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think we're going with, like, I think sport has gone there in a lot of different places. Like just to have your foot in the top 10, you have to like sacrifice a lot of things. You have to like,
I hope not. Yeah.
I think it's a reality. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not in any way ever going to be in those arenas, like that competitive level. But, I'm looking at like ultra bike packing, and there's zero regulations, there's nobody. It's so underground.
Yeah.
But there's sponsors. If people set FKTs, they get sponsor money. Like the sponsors are incentivizing people to set FKTs. They get bonuses for that, right?
Yeah.
And in an unregulated sport like bike packing, who knows? Like Adderall, like what about Adderall? Just to keep you awake.
Yeah.
You could even have prescribed Adderall. And then in this new model, that would have to be under a therapeutic use exemption, a TUF.
Yeah.
Or TUE.
Pretty involved, I think, to get an exemption, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a process. It's not just like a doctor's note.
Yeah.
Like when you were in high school or whatever.
Yeah.
To get out of school.
Inhalers and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I'm almost happy to be removed from it. Like, it seems like, I would hope that I would maintain all my integrity with that stuff. But yeah, I'm just glad I don't have to think about those things.
Yeah.
So, because I think it'd be heartbreaking, right? As an elite, you're trying to make a living out of this, and that the 5 people next to you have been caught doping or suspected. But
do you take any supplements at all?
I've experimented with creatine just for recovery, less so like the performance aspect in like lifting weights or sprinting.
Yeah.
But yeah, really just like touch and go, not too much. That's about it.
Yeah. I just recently, it's funny you mentioned the creatine. I just recently started a daily creatine, like 1 scoop, 5 grams.
Yeah.
For endurance recovery, basically. But there was a new study that just came out about a high dose of creatine can help you be more cognitively aware during sleep deprivation.
Okay.
So basically, if I do a 30-hour race or a 36-hour race and I'm deciding to go straight through and not sleeping, I can take like a 20-gram dose of
that's a lot. Yeah.
creatine.
I think I've taken 5 grams.
So. Yeah, 5 is the normal like daily.
Yeah.
But there's some evidence suggesting that 20 grams basically like keeps you from some of the cognitive decision-making decline that you get with sleep deprivation. So like, for example, I'm into the second day. I've gone all through the night and I'm trying to like resupply and make good decisions there. Yeah. And I've made very poor decisions there, specifically CTR. I made poor decisions on resupply and I ran out of food.
Yeah.
And it like created a major problem for me, right? Like I would have been much faster if I would have made that good decision in that one key moment.
Yeah.
And they're linking creatine to that for that like instant. Now what you're talking about, the 5 grams a day is I think for in training, I think it can help you recover faster.
Muscle growth, I think, is the other
to train the next day.
Yeah.
Because creatine was always like the gym bro thing.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it's like weird saying it out loud because for a long time I thought it was that weird pre-workout, routine of high school gym bros like we talked about.
Yeah,
but it's come a long way in 10 years, I think.
Yeah, and apparently it doesn't matter when you take it.
Okay,
like
it's just in your system.
The 5 gram stuff.
Yeah,
not the sleep deprivation part, but like it's in your system, and it doesn't really matter what time of day you take it. But typically people take it after a workout as like a ritual sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and I've been trying that. I think I've felt it.
But that was my experience. It's like, this is a complete nothing burger for me.
Yeah.
If I don't feel worse, so I think I stopped taking it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I felt it, but I'm not sure if that's placebo or not.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the basic sleep, nutrition, mileage,
Yeah.
let's get back to basics.
Well, dude, sleep is going to be like the number one.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So
if you have poor sleep, don't even like, if you have good sleep, you're going to
Yeah.
excel, right? And recover.
yeah, all this bicarb stuff, it's so funny. It's like, just focus on your building blocks first, and then
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
food is kind of, I mean, I think food goes to a certain distance, but your body does amazing things with what it can.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like the whole keto thing where
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
it's like, oh, we don't have any carbs. We're going to like convert this stuff
Yeah.
through ketosis, and you're going to use this for energy instead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's like historically because when people didn't have fruit available to eat, or they didn't have carbohydrate, like hunter-gatherer societies didn't have carbohydrates available,
Mm-hmm.
the body evolved to be able to switch over to a different fuel source
yeah.
to keep you going so that you
Yep.
could run down the animal, right?
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, you're right. There is no one way for anybody, but
Yeah.
so yeah. So creatine, what about caffeine
Oh yeah.
during races?
Yeah, nothing crazy. Like, I have some caffeine pills I use very sparingly, like literally just a half one, because I think they're 200 milligrams.
Are they those gas station pills?
I don't know. It's a very intense bottle. I don't like.
Is it like Yellow Jackets?
Probably.
Hardcore.
Yeah, but it's pure caffeine. But yeah, I find it helpful an hour or two in, if it's a 2-hour event or a 4-hour event.
Yeah.
It's like having a cup of coffee, right? It's about the same
Right.
caffeine in the middle of the event. And I think there's research on that. It just helps fatigue, resistance, and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I try to keep a fairly healthy relationship with it. Like, I'll have 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. I know, like, Dave Grohl, like, his memoir is insane. He's talking about drinking pots, like,
Yeah.
you can overdo it for sure.
Yeah.
So I try to be healthy with it, or relatively, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it helps. I think it really helps in races. So
Yeah. Do you sometimes I'll overdo the caffeine a little bit and then I'll have kind of a crash.
Yeah.
Like a real hard crash. Do you get that? I mean, in the shorter distances, you can probably carry it all right.
yeah,
With
I think
that.
it's more after the race, but I haven't crashed during a race from caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, or
Yeah.
overdo it, but
Nice.
yeah, yep.
So yeah, I mean, there's the back to the PED thing, the USADA thing, performance enhancing drugs. Yeah, there's like this line where creatine is like okay, supplements are okay. Well, people got to be careful with supplements because they could
Unregulated.
They need to
Yeah.
be third party verified.
Yeah, that's what I always check for my stuff. Yep.
Buy the good stuff. Don't buy the cheap Amazon stuff.
Yep.
All right, make sure it's got the third party verification on it so that you don't, because they're mixing these things in vats that have other things mixed in them, and you could pop for something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it must be stressful as a professional athlete. You really got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's that USADA has that. What is that policy called? It's like, essentially, you're responsible for what goes in your body.
Yep.
It doesn't matter the intent. It doesn't matter. So if you buy a bad batch on Amazon,
Yeah.
it could harm your career. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, UFC fighters have made up the craziest excuses. They've been
Yeah.
like, I ate horse meat and it had testosterone in it.
yeah.
When I was in Brazil or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing with the Chinese swimmer scandal I mentioned. I don't know if you've heard that with the
No.
Olympics. So this was during COVID. I think it was the Tokyo Games, which were in 2021.
Okay.
Is that the right year? So they had like a national Chinese swimmer competition, within their borders, just to prepare for Tokyo, I believe. And I think they chose to drug test for whatever reason. I don't know. I think you're supposed to self-regulate actually under the Olympic rules.
Yeah.
But they found TMZ, which is like a prescription heart medication, which
Okay.
helps your heart use oxygen. And like, I think it was like 30%, or it was a large percentage of their swimmers. But their excuse was, when they were pressed on it by USADA or the governing body, it was contamination from like their hotel like cereal or something.
Yeah.
And this is a prescription heart medication, so you have to, I try to be pretty lenient on stuff, but that really upset me. It's like. So actually, yeah, Katie Ledecky and Michael Phelps went before Congress and were like, hey, like, this is not right, because I think they appealed. There was a DOJ investigation, but essentially the Olympic Committee was like, we're good, like, we accept their explanation for this.
Yeah, dude.
It's just a mess. Yeah.
The EOC is a little.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw Icarus.
I did. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Don't want to get into that, but like, yeah, I'm passionate about clean sports, so I think, that stuff gets me going.
Yeah.
But.
So let's, talking about like these aging athletes and competitiveness, and I want to go to the Camille Herron thing for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
I had no idea who she was up until a week ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. No clue. I'm not embedded in the. Jess let me know. Jess was like, "Do you hear what's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh man, no." And then the stuff starts to come out. There's lots of like information about it in the running world. It like rocked the running world. The background is there was some modifications of Wikipedia pages. Her own Wikipedia. Well, she wrote her own Wikipedia page, and then she modified it to fluff herself up using like certain words that I guess are prohibited from Wikipedia.
I believe the term is puffery.
Thank you. And she more in a more tacky approach downplayed other athletes like Courtney Dauwalter and
Killian Jornet, I believe.
Killian.
Yeah.
Yep. And took away things from their pages that kind of like downplayed their achievements and how important they are to the sport. She got caught. Basically, they traced it back to multiple accounts that she made. This has been happening over. It was
her
5
husband
years.
Too.
So that
to clarify, yeah.
Well, that and that
team,
right?
Yeah.
So her husband took the bullet for her, basically, and said it was completely me. They traced it back to their IP address, and the husband took the bullet fully. Said it was in response to like cyberbullying that she was receiving, that he went on and was trying to make her feel better or make it feel better or something like that. But if you go back a little further, it's interesting because she's got a kind of a history of these kind of like splashy records, not like a non-traditional path. Like she did, she tried to set a Guinness Book of World Record for like a 6-day race or something.
Yeah. Yep.
And
that was the Lululemon event, right?
Right. And then, which the biggest fallout from her was that Lululemon dropped her.
Yeah.
That her sponsor dropped her, which they like a year ago or so, they decided to become in partnership with her. And then they had that further event.
Really getting into the running space, yeah.
Yeah, which was supposed to like really prop up women's running. And that was really their marketing.
Yeah, it was a great event. Great event. Yeah. Yep.
And, I mean, first of all, I have to say, like, Lululemon has done some messed up stuff in their time. They're not like the best company. They've had like the CEO has had said some things that are like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
I heard that. Yeah.
You have? Or
no, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
So like, I don't know. It was, I think 2019 or something. There was all this controversy about being able to see through the tights.
Oh no.
And he said that it was not, I'm going to paraphrase what he said, but it was something about like, it doesn't match all body types. And what he was implying was like larger women stretch out the material and you can see through it when you stretch it out. So, and then he got fired and then they did this whole like, or he resigned and then they did this whole like DEI campaign to try and like rebuild their brand. And the original founder has done some really questionable stuff, like coming down to like the naming of it.
Okay.
So like they're not a perfect company either. Let's just say that like they're definitely a controversial company, right? Or have been in controversy before. So I think that they were a perfect match is my point. But there's like a lot of people are shitting on her, like the whole running community. It seems like there's a big group of people who are quiet about this. There's two groups that kind of came out of the woodwork during this. There's the group that like knew about her and they kind of thought that there was some questionable stuff maybe. And she's like an accomplished runner. She's like a super accomplished.
Oh, she's one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Like,
yeah,
she's not like a fraud in that sense. Right. And so there are the people that know about her. And then there are the people that kind of just are like way, on the side here, just kind of watching the controversy, and they may get a hint of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to steel man here a little bit and think about like what is her perspective and you know, being like an aging athlete who's reliant on the check to continue in this sport, like is there something that happened in her history that maybe like she seems to always kind of have this like she's just right there, right at the tip of this like group of athletes who are just like the top of the sport, but she's just not quite there. She just never quite made it.
I would say she's there. I mean, you got Courtney, you got Camille Herron, and Ann Trayson. Like, give me another name that fits in that Mount Rushmore, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's just a different type of running. She does flatter stuff, and that's great, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's kind of sad because she really is at that pinnacle, I think. Maybe it's, yeah. Anyway.
So that was the end of my diatribe.
Oh, okay.
But what,
Yeah.
I mean, what's your feedback? Like, do you side with somebody? What?
Yeah, I might kind of dodge here, but I think I think it's important to not contextualize the harm. I think ultimately what happened is pretty low criticality compared to some other sports,
Yeah.
especially males. I want to be really careful that I don't think we should be canceling Camille Herron in any sense of the word. I think what happened is ethically not right. It's all sorts. You can make all sorts of arguments against it, but I think there's a path forward for her. So. I think probably a genuine apology would help, but I certainly don't think we should never hear from Camille again. I think she's a great athlete. So yeah, but hopefully, yeah.
I mean, look, she her response was turn everything off, turn off her social media, take down her website, don't say anything.
Yeah.
She became public about ADHD, right? Which a lot of people seem to be skeptical about. There seems to be I think she kind of she had a path in the road to take, right? When this happened, if you're in a big company and you have to do public relations and something really bad happens, you have to make these sort of same decisions, right? I look at it as a business decision.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to think about what's the most diplomatic way to, are you going to hide and let it blow over? 'Cause the media cycle will just turn it over, or are you going to apologize and accept guilt, and then you're going to get criticized for that because you actually accepted it? Or are you going to do what Trump does and just attack and never always attack, right? Because that's a strategy too.
Sure.
And it may not be agreeable, but I think that it works when you attack. It's not, I don't like it, but it definitely deflects the problem. Yeah. Right, when you just start attacking other people. So she had a choice to make in this, and she still has a choice to make.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more as the weeks goes on. But yeah. I think I don't know. I think an apology would go a long way, and I think clearly things. She's probably not in a great spot. I think we have to be empathetic to that. I don't think you do something like that in a good headspace.
Right.
So I think she probably needs a shoulder to put her head on.
Right.
Some support. So I think an apology would go a long way. And
from her.
Yeah. And I think we can move past it. So
yeah. And it's a weird sort of canceling that's sort of happening.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with it. Yeah.
Well, look, people are complex, and she could have a history of, look, I was bullied in high school, I was bullied, and it sucked, and it probably I make certain decisions now that are a reaction to that sort of thing. And it's do we really know her whole story?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I
She's
think
probably in a hard spot, Yeah.
And whether her husband did it or not, she deserves a little bit of grace, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's so imagine yourself standing in front of her, and what would you say to that person then?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And would you say the same things that you're saying on the internet?
Yeah. And I think, we proclaim that the trail and ultra community is very loving and accepting. So I hope we can show her that, that we're not this burn at the stake culture where it's you're done,
right.
Never going to talk to you again. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause everybody, whatever, I've made plenty of bad decisions.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know why I said sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All that food service stuff I was telling you about.
No.
Yeah. So, I always try to, I think it's really important to steelman a case for every situation and try to understand. And I listen to like Lex Friedman and a few other podcasts that they really make an attempt to like be non-bias and not to just like, and it's like our tribal in our tribal genetics to jump into a side, right, into mob mentality. I start to attack or whatever. And she, I don't know, she'll be all right. You're right in your point about it's not like it's
just kind of still like objectively remove her from this. It's like if like LeBron James did this to Michael Jordan, it'd be hilarious. It'd be like it'd be so funny because like when the impact is so low, it's not going to touch his reputation. But
like change the.
I mean, like Michael's. If no one's going to read Wikipedia and be like, oh, Michael Jordan really isn't that good,
right?
So,
well, and I thought there was more moderation on Wikipedia, but only on certain levels of articles, apparently.
Yeah, I believe there's a protected status where it's you can't just freely edit, but
right.
Yeah,
but then anything else you can kind of do.
Yeah, thankfully it's one source, and you hope that companies like Google I know are very actually savvy nowadays, where it's like they're not just taking one source for truth. It's a kind of a collection of all the sources on the internet and trust signals, and
right
in order to present something as a fact, in search results or AI results. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the with the AI angle, there's all the hallucinations.
Yeah.
Which are a real problem.
Yeah, certainly tightening it up, you hope, but
that's part of it.
Yeah, the sad thing is I'm sure that a lot of this news it's probably the most Camille's ever received in her career, so that's going to be on the internet for forever, but yeah, anyway.
I mean, dude, she could have just owned it and been like, yep, I did that. Like, so the strange thing about the cancel culture is it usually makes a person stronger in the long run. They get more publicity. They get more people talking about it. Like, there's been a few people that have gotten really screwed, but like, I think that like it definitely, like, bad media is sometimes good media because it's better than no media. At least that's some people's approach to things, right? Where they just anything is good. Like, even if it's bad, it's good because you're getting people to talk about you. Yeah. And I think some people come out stronger, and she could still do that. She could come out and just be like, I did it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still going to do this thing. And, it's okay that I don't have a sponsor, but like, I'm still passionate about what I'm doing, and people can take it or leave it, so, but I mean, it's complex. So I don't know,
but yeah.
Okay. So, what time is it? Let's see how long we've been doing this. Yeah, we should probably get you out of here pretty soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. So let's see. You got the Black Canyon Ultra coming up.
Yep.
How far away is that one?
That one's just down in Black Canyon City.
Yeah.
So just what is that? An hour and a half south.
How long? Until.
That's in February. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I didn't phrase it very well.
Date's not.
February. Okay, so you're gonna get through some winter training and.
Yeah, I had been training for, I think like 10 months straight, pretty much from, last year into this one. So I'm taking some downtime. This fall, winter, gonna strengthen up a little bit and then come back.
Yeah.
Heavy hitting December, I hope. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what next year's gonna bring other than that.
Yeah, that in Boston. That's it.
Boston.
For now.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yep. But,
so
yeah,
that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, you know what? Before we go, we cut this out if we want, but I have a new segment that I wanted to bring in.
Okay.
Called Guess That Gen Z Word.
Okay.
I don't know if you might have just missed the Gen Z, but
might be a little too old. Yeah. No, I'm definitely not Gen Z.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm a young millennial.
Okay. Yeah. I'm an aging millennial and you're a young millennial.
Yeah,
Got it.
perfect.
Okay. So we're both in the right
So
class.
am I guessing what the word means?
Yes.
Okay.
For this segment. Okay. All right. Smol. SMOL.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Oh, that little pug dog is small.
I'm gonna say like defiant and like almost like sexy, like defiantly sexy. Is that a thing?
Something that is small and in most cases exceptionally adorable.
Okay, so kind of on the right track.
Yeah,
more
definitely.
cute than okay. Got it.
All right, next word. Guap. Guap.
It's when guacamole. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Guac is the layup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll use it in a sentence for you.
Okay.
Let's see. What's the sentence going to be? Yeah, I mowed that guy's lawn and he gave me tons of guap.
Oh, money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots
It's like,
of it.
is that the new bread? Like, or get that bread?
Guap.
Okay, get that guap. Okay. I got it.
Just so you know.
Got it.
So, in case you're talking to, in case I have to talk to my niece this weekend, I can be up to date on old man, Phil, extra old man. Okay, last one. Sending me. So that's really, hey, bro, that's really sending me.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's like, you're touching me. You're really like, like you're, what's the word? I don't know. You're really affecting me with what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Another term to use if you find something particularly funny.
Yeah. Okay. Funny, I guess.
You got it.
Okay, cool.
So that's really sending me. This podcast is really sending me.
Really sent me. Thanks, Dylan.
Nice. That's it for today. I won't make you do any more of those. That was fun though.
That was fun, man.
All right. So your Instagram, Man of Salt.
Yep.
What's the deal with that?
Salt Lake City, baby.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Gotta
that's your hometown.
maintain those roots. Yeah, Man of Flag seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So check you out on
There.
Instagram, and just thanks for being willing to do this.
Absolutely, man.
You're
Thanks.
a badass.
You too. Thanks for having me.
And it's a great conversation. I'm
Yeah.
super grateful.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
I wanted to let you know a few different ways that you can support this podcast. Of course, you can like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Tell other people about it. Tell your friends and family. If you think these conversations I'm having are valuable as I think they are, share it. Send it out. Ask them to subscribe. That would be amazing. That's a free way that you can support. Another way you can support is by financially support is by becoming a member on either YouTube or Spotify. Those links are always in the description of all the videos. And YouTube members do get some extra perks like member shoutouts during the podcast, priority reply to comments, and best of all, you get early access to new videos that I'm releasing. You can also, if you don't want to sign up for a recurring membership, you can also show me your support by sending a one-time gift using what YouTube calls the Super Thanks feature. So when you're watching a video, down at the bottom, there's the little buttons, the thumbs up, thumbs down button. And right next to that, there is a heart with a little dollar sign in the middle, and it says thanks next to it. That is the Super Thanks button. So if you click that, it'll allow you to give a one-time gift, financial gift of your choice. And it's just incredible. Like seeing the support that I've gotten so far from both members and from Super Thanks is just amazing, and it is definitely allowing me to keep this thing rolling down the tracks.